This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series and the National Championship Game.
On an absolutely gorgeous Saturday afternoon for college football, we welcome you to Clemson, South Carolina, Memorial Stadium, better known as Death Valley. Today, number 19, Virginia, taking on the Clemson Tigers. Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Gannon. Renewed enthusiasm here in Clemson because Tommy Bowden has taken over as the head coach of the Clemson Tigers. But a tough test today because they face a Virginia team that's already 1-0 in the conference, 1-0 on the season. A dramatic win last week over North Carolina. For a look at that, the man who will be working with me in the booth, one of the all-time great place kickers in NFL history, Nick Lowry, and that is a fact, not my opinion. However, Virginia right now in the middle of one of the toughest parts of their schedule, right out of the gate.
Well, for the first time in 30 years, an ACC team has to start on the road with 2 games. So if they can come out of this well, they'll do great for the season, I think. But they're going to have to start with relying on one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in the country, Thomas Jones, a real slasher, to cover for their quarterback, Dan Ellis, who was a little bit shaky last week. Tommy Bowden has a more simple but profound challenge. That's to restore the pride and the character of this great, once proud tradition in Clemson.
Trying to get back to the old days in a new way. A brand new offense for Tommy Bowden here. And one of the great traditions, the Tigers running down the hill, passing Howard's Rock. The Cavaliers and the Tigers are up next. Back in Clemson, South Carolina, Terry Gannon, Nick Lowry getting set for Virginia and Clemson. Temperature in the high 80s. It could be much worse, though, this time of year down here in the South. It was in the 90s a couple of days ago. Had some rain over the last couple of days, but it is gorgeous today. George Welsh, the head coach of Virginia in his 18th year, and I don't think it's fair to say anymore that he is underrated. Everyone in the country who is a football fan knows about the job that he has done at Virginia.
Well, you know, Terry, when you combine Gary Tranquill and Rick Lance with George Welsh, you may have the best coach team in the country.
And on the other side, Tommy Bowden taking over. All the hoopla surrounding that. 0-1 so far. The loss last week to Marshall, but there is still a lot of enthusiasm here that this is the man who's going to return Clemson to the glory days.
Tommy talked about just a couple days ago, we've got to find ourselves some playmakers in this offense, and I think that'll be the challenge today.
The first 29 games in this series won by the Clemson Tigers, but 4 of the last 5 have gone to Virginia, and the last 2 down here at Death Valley. And the Tigers have won the toss. They have deferred to the second half. So we're about set for this ACC matchup, which is important for both teams for different reasons. Virginia trying to keep it rolling if they can get through this early part of the schedule, as you mentioned, the 2 road games in league play. First time since 1969 when Carolina had to do that. They'll really be rolling, and Clemson just trying to get a win under their belt. And some confidence for this team, which is very, very young.
They've lost 8 games out of the last 15 by 7 or less points. And their great fans are saying, was last week something that's just an anomaly, or is that something that's continuing from this past 2 years where we've really lost our sense of confidence in those big games?
Jamie Samani will kick it off and get us underway here. The Tigers with that heartbreaking loss last week where they missed a field goal that would have tied it, sent it to overtime here in Death Valley against Marshall. Arlen Harris, number 23, a redshirt freshman, and Tavon Mason back deep, another redshirt freshman out of Baltimore.
One of the things today that's going to be a factor, and we'll be talking about it throughout the game, is simply the special teams. Clemson had some problems last week, and George Welsh teams always have great defense and great special teams.
And we are underway in Death Valley. Harris 3 yards deep. Thinks twice, goes down to one knee. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. The Chili starting lineups for Virginia. This is a great line, maybe the best that George Welsh has ever had. Noah LaMontagne, an all-ACC performer a year ago. St. Clair, very good at center. The wideouts, Kevin Coffey, a possession receiver, but he averages over 23 yards a catch, so he can run after he makes that catch. And in the backfield, Anthony Southern getting the start. And Thomas Jones, as you mentioned, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the entire nation. Led the conference a year ago with over 1,300 yards. If he does that again this year, he'll be the all-time leading Virginia rusher. Here he is on first down. breaks a tackle, still on his feet, finally down at the 38-yard line. Big gain and a first down. A gain of 18 for Thomas Jones.
Reggie Herring, the defensive coordinator for Clemson, said this is going to be the test, especially for our linebackers. We're athletic, we're fast, but are we tough enough and strong enough? They're under weight, and it's going to be a little tough this week against a guy as strong and powerful as this guy.
Now, this is a quick Clemson defense, but it is a defense that has really been built on speed, not size. So 1st and 10 from the 38. These are the tight end in motion. There goes Jones again. Over the right side, finds a hole across the 40 to the 41. And this Clemson defensive front that Thomas Jones is facing today, solid up front. Gary Childress gets a start after being out with an injury a week ago. Linebacking core, though, very small. They're young. You've got 3 sophomores in the lineup starting, Williams, Carson, and Adams. So that's what they will try to take advantage of, that big offensive line from Virginia will. And the DBs, Dexter Polite at one corner, very good. And Robert Carswell is the man. He's moved from free safety to strong safety this year. Jones with a flag down. Big hole on the left side. He'd run out of bounds across midfield at the 47.
What you're going to see today is Reggie Herring's defense looking to get 9 people in that box, so that they have, especially Carswell, probably the best tackler on this team. He's going to have to make a lot of tackles today.
So it's a gain of 12, and it goes against the Tigers, so that will stand. And the ball will be placed down at the 47, just inside of it.
You know, last week, Terry, on their big march for the game-winning field goal by Todd Braverman, they literally ran all the way down the field. They didn't throw once. They had 4 runs by Thomas Jones and 2 by Tyree Foreman, and looks like they're just continuing that now.
Well, you expect it all day long, too. If you hand it to Jones right, Jones left, behind that big offensive line, you're going to do some damage against an undersized Clemson defense. Dan Ellis makes a change at the line of scrimmage. Quick drop, looks to throw. Coffey was out there. It's a miscommunication. He broke one way, and Ellis threw it the other.
But it looked like here that Coffey was just going to do a quick out, and that's exactly what Dan Ellis was expecting.
But Coffey, certainly the receiver they'll go to, and they did a week ago against North Carolina. 4 catches, he had a touchdown, 29 of his 31 for a first down or a touchdown. Averages over 23 yards per catch and doesn't have great speed. Ellis under pressure, down he goes. Braxton K. Williams with a sack. And it's Clemson football after he coughed it up.
Braxton Williams, 6'2", 205 sophomore from Greensboro, North Carolina, just left completely untouched from the right side. That's one of those things a young quarterback's going to forget to look out and check for.
You see the ball loose and recovered by the Tigers. Williams only a sophomore, as you mentioned. But you see the speed right away of the linebackers from Clemson. They may not be big, but they can run. So first down at the 43. Quick throw from Streeter out to Brian Wofford, one of his favorite receivers. And he's got a Tiger first down at the 32-yard line.
A lot of misdirection. You see people going in each direction, confusing the defense, and really comes down to a very simple out pattern.
Wofford 5 catches a week ago against Marshall. And again, here's the no huddle. Not necessarily a hurry-up offense for the Tigers, but they will not huddle, and the calls come in from the sidelines. Brandon Streeter to throw on second down. He's got Wofford again. Actually, it's Rod Gardner who makes the catch this time, but right at the 30-yard line. And the Chili starting lineups, this offensive front, one of the smallest in college football. In fact, T.J. Watkins, a former tight end, in at left tackle. Akeel Smith, one of the best. Lawyer, very good, along with Wofford. Sir Gallus, they will throw to him, the tight end. Witherspoon and Austin in the backfield, along with Brandon Streeter. We'll see a lot of Travis Zachary, though, who was suspended for the first game against Marshall. There's Gardner with a catch over the middle. Down to the 20-yard line and another first down. They'll move the chains again.
Well, certainly, the thing you can't get around is this is the first team since 1943 for Clemson that has lost every offensive lineman. So they have to make up for it. This offense has got great talent at the skill positions. Virginia, though, we'll get to Virginia's strategy in a second.
Gardner had 11 catches last week against Marshall that tied a Clemson record. And Travis Zachary, number 8, is now in the backfield for the first time. Did not play against Marshall a week ago. 3 receivers to the near side. Pump fake. Streeter throws it away. And it looked like he had Wofford open. Well, look at the defense that Streeter faces today. Monsanto Pope is out with a knee injury, so Kofi Baywa will get the start at right tackle. Travis Griffith, a 3-year starter. The linebackers, Byron Threet, one of the best in the ACC, and a secondary that is certainly banged up. Stukes is out. Harris is out at the corners. So Lazan and Spruill get the starts, and Williams and Newby are redshirt freshmen. So that is a very young secondary that will be tested today.
You bet. How often do you hear about 2 freshmen starting in the secondary? You're probably going to see Virginia protect them by keeping them back. But on that last play, Jermaine Lazan, number 49, just buried number 6, Justin Watts.
2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line. Zachary, the lone setback, 3 receivers again to the near side. Justin Watts, number 6, is now in the game. The inside give to Travis Zachary over the left side. Gets to about the 18, gain of 2.
You know, Travis Zachary, I predict, is going to be doing a lot more running than Javis Austin today. He's the best running back they've got there. He's a little bit bigger. He was suspended earlier in the offseason because Tommy Bowden wanted to send a message that he was in control, and unfortunately, Travis was not real happy with some of the new discipline. But I think it's going to pay off for this team by understanding that Tommy Bowden means business.
Leading rusher a year ago. Big 3rd down now for the Tigers. 3rd and 8. Streeter throws, has a man. That's a touchdown. Wofford to the end zone. Brian Wofford with a touchdown catch, and the Tigers are on the board.
Brian Wofford has had a catch in 25 of his last 26 games. That's the 11th touchdown of his career, and he was left completely untouched. Just ran right down the right hash.
$18 yards to the end zone, and Wofford, who had 5 catches last week, his 2nd catch of the afternoon, that one for 6.
Didn't look like there was great communication between the safeties and the corners on that one. The safety did not get over in time.
Kyle Young is the man down injured on the field. A sophomore center from right here in Clemson, South Carolina. Still being attended to. Young, a longtime Clemson fan. As you look at Tommy Bowden, he's got to be happy with the way his offense has moved the football.
Kyle is the strongest guy on the team. He was Mr. Football at the position of center and played as a freshman last year at guard. He moved him back to the position he's more comfortable at. But this could be a big loss for them because they've got so little experience at this position. He's really the only guy that has much.
But he is up and walking off the field, which is a good sign. So Tony Lazzara, the place kicker and a redshirt freshman of St. Petersburg, Florida, on. He missed 2 field goals last week. He made a 42-yarder, but it was Chris Campbell who had the last attempt and the miss against Marshall that would have tied it up. But Tommy Bowden electing to go back to Lazzara. Splits the uprights. So the turnover a key early in this one, and the Tigers take advantage. Streeter 4 of 5 for 41 yards and a touchdown so far. The Tigers are rolling early. 7-0, the Clemson Tigers with the early lead, and the first touchdown pass of the season so far for Brandon Streeter, coming off of that sack and the caused fumble by Braxton Williams. There's Streeter on the sidelines. Son of a coach, high school coach back in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. His father certainly a big influence on his career.
Great basketball player, averaged 17 points in high school.
Go back deep, Arlen Harris, Tavon Mason. Just over 3 minutes gone in this one. It'll be Mason in front of Harris, coming back out across the 20 and down at the 22-yard line. Good kick coverage. A return of 15 yards for Mason. Well, what about the keys today, the Dell Game Solutions, Nick?
Alrighty. Well, first we got to start with Virginia. Defensive endurance. They've got so many injuries on defense. They've got to stay healthy and aggressive throughout the game. They got to run with number 6, and if they can do that, eventually they're going to win this game. And finally, unlike that last sack, Mr. Ellis has got to keep alert and not make mistakes.
Yeah, I expect them to run as much as they possibly can with Thomas Jones, and especially after the early turnover when Ellis dropped back to pass. Here comes Jones, near side, surrounded by a host of Tigers. It was Keith Adams, number 43, the sophomore out of College Park, Georgia, who got there first.
Reggie Herring believes in young, tall, fast, athletic linebackers. Keith Adams is not that tall, but all of them, I think, are going to grow into even better linebackers in the next couple of years.
So a loss of 2 on the play, and we talked to Reggie Herring the other day, and he said that's what they're recruiting now, too. They're recruiting those tall players, and they feel like they can put the weight on them, get them in the weight room, and they'll become maybe 6'3", 240, 250 linebackers someday. In motion is Jones. Straight drop, Ellis to throw. Good coverage. Demetrius Dotson getting the start, but well covered by Alex Ardley, the sophomore out of Tallahassee. There you see Dotson getting a start today because Ahmad Hawkins is out with a hamstring injury. And this is like an ER unit for Virginia. They have a number of players who are out due to injury. And George Welsh should go crazy trying to deal with all this.
Well, you've got all 5 of these players are out. Ahmad Hawkins, Casey Crowder, great also ACC tight end. Dwayne Stukes injured last week. Antoine Harris, safety. Montento Pope, a lot of talent.
So 3 receivers set now on 3rd and 12. Out of the shotgun is Ellis. Under pressure. Throws behind his receiver, but complete at the 33. What a catch by Kevin Coffey.
Coffey's his go-to guy. They say he kind of runs on his heels, and he doesn't really look that athletic, but in reality, the guy's sneaky fast, and he's their big play receiver so far.
And it may be close enough where they're going to measure. Coffey, the junior out of East Cleveland, Ohio. Of course, Virginia trying to replace Terrence Wilkins, who was their #1 receiver a year ago. And they get the first down, barely.
In this Clemson defense, a lot of pressure on Dexter Polite, number 34, and Alex Ardley. If they can do the job today, this could be a big upset.
Tommy Bowden, with the job he did at Tulane, no one thought that could be done. And then taking over here, maybe a similar situation, although Clemson football with the proud tradition and history, a little bit different in that sense. Trying to get back to those days, though. Big hole for Thomas Jones. Almost goes down, but across the 40 to the 42-yard line.
Well, you've got the ghosts of great coaches like Frank Howard and Danny Ford, the 1981 national championship, and it's tough to find your own identity. I think that's what Tommy's intent to do.
How about this for a turnaround, though? 4-18 in the 2 years prior to his arrival in New Orleans. 18-4, a complete turnaround.
And last year, at one point anyway, the only team in the country averaging 300 yards passing, 200 receiving.
3 receivers set again for Virginia now on 3rd and actually 2nd and a long one. Jones caught behind the line of scrimmage, may have fought his way back to the line. Again, Keith Adams quickly in there.
You're going to see a nice variety of this. 9 in the box in the Bear defense, and they're going to occasionally slant to their left to throw off the Virginia linemen, make them more tentative, and allow the weak side linebacker, sometimes it's going to be 48 in this case, Braxton Williams, or 43 on the other side, to come in and make the play.
George Welsh with Thomas Jones in the backfield on 3rd and 1. And Anthony Southern ahead of him. Demetrius Dotson in motion. Jones didn't get there. Not even close. Freddie James, number 90, along with Keith Adams, number 43 again, met Thomas Jones head on. And that is the way Clemson used to beat you.
You know, Terry, the fans here expect a lot, but the players, DeMont McKenzie yesterday was saying they understand why. They've got a great tradition. They don't expect it to be any other way. The fans expect you to win, but they also support you to the end.
Donnie Scott, one of the best in the ACC, will punt it away to Mal Lawyer, who is standing back at his own 14-yard line. end-over-end punt. And Lawyer backs away. And a punt of 38 yards, not one of Donnie Scott's better efforts. Well, the Tigers will take over on offense once again. They lead it 7-0. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Ford Motor Company. Better ideas. Chili's, a proud sponsor of ABC's college football. State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And Nike. Death Valley, over 81,000 the capacity here. And the Tigers take over 1st and 10 from their own 21. Streeter to run out of the shotgun across the 25 to the 26. It was Maurice Anderson who made the stop. And the Dell Game solutions for the Clemson Tigers, Nick.
Well, number one, they missed 3 field goals last week. They've got to make at least 2 out of every 3 field goals, and of course the big ones. Secondly, no huddle efficiency. They got to get used to the timing with this very, very light young offensive line. And lastly, they got to force Dan Ellis to beat them.
Thomas Jones, you're not going to stop him entirely, but they may have 8, 9 in the box on almost every play to force the pass from Ellis. 2nd and 5. Streeter out of the gun again. Inside give to Javis Austin. Finds a hole, dances around the left side and across the 30. Close to another first down.
One of the things that George Welsh says is these guys spread the field out more than anybody I've ever seen. You have trips to the left on that. You have a fake run to the right, and he turns around and runs left again because he knows the defensive backs are all taken.
By the way, Kyle Young, the center for the Clemson Tigers, who went out with an injury earlier, is back in playing, so it's good news for them. 4 receivers. Austin again on a flag. Still up to the 37, but again a flag on the play.
Well, you've got 3 interesting plays right in a row. You've got a quarterback looking like an option quarterback on 1st down. You've got a misdirection on 2nd down, and the same thing on 3rd.
So the hole will back up the Tigers, and Tommy Bowden wanting to know who was it. Has a great outlook, though. You know, you talk to him as you would expect as a Bowden. Comes by it honestly, but was joking about it the other day. How's the relationship with the former coaches here, Danny Ford, and the people? He said, well, I'll let you know in a while. We're 0-1 right now. I'm not so sure yet. He's
talked to all of them on the phone, but I think he's keeping his distance.
Offensive holding on a running play that ended beyond the line of scrimmage. Spot foul, 10 yards.
That was Jim White, who had a heart attack 2 years ago on ABC.
And Jim Knight had the heart attack in the North Carolina game and is back working, as you say. It's great to see him back. Talked with him about a half hour yesterday, and been a long-time official, football and basketball. The ACC, worked in the NFL for a while, but as enthusiastic as ever. Streeter on the run, throws complete. Jodan Reams with a catch at the 20. But that is well short even of the original line of scrimmage.
You had no back in the backfield there, but Virginia, I think, is beginning to find itself on defense.
Big Maurice Anderson, 6'3", 290 on the pressure. And Byron Thweet, one of the best in the ACC on the tackle. So it's 2nd and 21. Streeter with time. Got a man out there, and the catch made at the 45. High in the air went Justin Watts, the junior out of Florence. What a catch, and a gain of 34.
Justin Watts from Florence, South Carolina, has got tremendous hands. You also saw that fake by Brandon Streeter confused Shenard Newby, and he did not get back over in time to help out.
Watts, with the best hands perhaps on this team, was one-on-one with Tim Spruill. And remember, the starting cornerbacks for Virginia out with injuries today. So it's 1st and 10 at the 45. Inside give. Travis Zachary finds a hole, bursts ahead. To the 37-yard line goes Zachary.
You're going to see Travis Zachary woven into this offense more and more, and you're also going to notice that they don't tend to run straight up the field. They're not a big I formation team. They don't have a lot of power there. They're going to take advantage of the angles, the fact that they don't have tight ends in there usually. They got to get outside.
3 receivers to the near side, 1 to the far side now on 2nd and 3. Quick throw by Wofford, the man who scored the touchdown. Hit hard at the 32. Ubrenal Isabel along with Jermaine Lawson. But a first down for the Clemson Tigers. So the crowd out of their seats here in Death Valley, Memorial Stadium, on a gorgeous afternoon as number 19 Virginia takes on Clemson, and the Tigers with the 7-0 lead. Terry Gannon, Nick Lowry with you. 5:35 and counting here in the first quarter. First and 10 for Streeter. Throws complete. Zachary out of the backfield. What a move around three. That doesn't happen very often. And inside the 25.
You know, it's not 100 degrees, but it is in the low 80s. And you just get the sense after a while this offense is just relentless. It keeps coming at you, and the defense has to make its decisions very quickly.
Whew. Byron, three as quick as they come at the linebacker position. Zachary went right around him. Great numbers so far for Streeter. Man who's battled through some hard times, had a tough first half to last season, but has been the best quarterback just ahead of Woody Dantzler in this offense. There goes Zachary. Not much going on, but the ball is loose. They're going to whistle it dead. Had to get to about the 22 for the first down. May have gotten there.
Last week, Terry, Marshall played soft against this young Clemson line, and it really confused them. And I think despite what George Wells said to us yesterday about doing a lot of blitzing, I think they're going to do some of the same things. They're going to play soft, and they're going to let Clemson try to be efficient and make those short completions.
It's got to be difficult to prepare for a Clemson team that, even though you saw what Tommy Bowden did at Tulane, and this is a Clemson club that they haven't faced before, and certainly much different than Clemson football. This wide open, at this point, four-receiver offense. Two to the far side, two to the near. Zachary again coming this way. Inside the 15 to the 14. And the Tigers just driving down the field. Great block by Kyle Young, the center, to spring Zachary.
The other thing you notice when you watch the safeties for Virginia, they really are staying back an extra second or two more than most safeties normally would because of the threat of one of these wide receivers flanked so wide, breaking free.
This defense has been on the field a long time here in the first quarter, too. So it's 2nd and 4. Streeter keeps it this time, flips it out. Sir Gallis, the tight end, to the end zone. He got there. Pat Sir Gallis with a touchdown catch, fought his way just inside the pylon.
Sir Gallis is a former fullback, but you know, it's not just the athleticism of Sir Gallis, it's also Brandon Streeter. You know, you love the quarterbacks today, whether it's in the NFL or in college, who can throw on the run. It wasn't that pretty, but it really makes a lot more problems for the defense.
Best start to a game in a long, long time for Brandon Streeter. Lazara on for his second extra point today. Straight on through once again. Well, who'd have thunk it?
I wouldn't have.
3:44 left in the first. Clemson up by 2 touchdowns. $14-0. Clemson leads Virginia. Here's a look at the last touchdown pass from Brandon Streeter to Pat Sir Gallis.
Watch Sir Gallis. He comes in just on that play, runs all the way across the field. Somebody forgot him.
Great block by Rod Gardner, too, to get him to the end zone. And Streeter nearly perfect on the day. 9 of 10, 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was 5 of 5 on that last drive.
You know, Terry, you were saying that Streeter has not had this kind of game in a while, but actually the last 4 games of the season last year when they went to 3 wide receivers, he threw for 9 touchdown passes, almost 900 yards, and he showed what he could do.
Jamie Samani with another kickoff, his 3rd of the day. Harlan Harris goes high to catch it at the goal line. Out to about the 19. And that's where Virginia will try to get things going. Well, more ACC action tonight. You know about it already. Right here on ABC. 8 o'clock Eastern, the Noles, #1 team in the nation, at home in Tallahassee. Peter Warwick leading the way against Joe Hamilton and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. That should be a great one. That is a great, great matchup tonight in prime time at 8 o'clock Eastern.
If Georgia Tech loses that game and Virginia is able to come back, well, things would be a little bit different. Virginia would be in the driver's seat.
Trying to get something going offensively now. Play action. Ellis on the roll. Under pressure. Caught at the 29, and it's a good catch. Wow. Chris Luzar, the backup tight end and a sophomore out of Williamsburg, Virginia, with a nice catch.
You know the difference, of course, in the NFL. You got to have both feet in, and this was a close play, but you can push the receiver out of bounds here. Great way dragging his right foot. I'm calling it good.
Well, you disagree with the crowd here then, because they did not think that Luzar got his foot down. Take a look. Oh, it's tough to tell. May not have.
Well, they dragged his foot, but it wasn't for very long.
2nd and 1. Jones stopped at the line of scrimmage. And while we have a moment, go to John Saunders in New York.
Terry, is early, but a good matchup between Notre Dame and Purdue here on the Win Your Way Burger King update. Drew Brees down 10-0, and he threw in an interception. This time he decides to keep it on the draw, takes it in for the touchdown, 10-7. Meanwhile, make sure you guys say nice things about Tommy Bowden, or the guy next to me might take it out on me.
We'll take care of you, John. No problem here. I'm sure Terry will have some comments at halftime on the Valvoline Halftime Report.
You know, there's just nothing like family, Terry.
You do that very well. 3rd and 1. Clemson had a big stop on the last series for Virginia. Southern ahead of Thomas Jones out of the eye. Here come the Tigers. Jones slides by one. He's got the first down. Almost dropped the football on the exchange.
Well, you had 11 guys within 2 yards of the line there, and that's the kind of thing they'll do. They'll show that look and drop back sometimes, but they're trying to intimidate and throw off that veteran, very powerful Virginia line. They're going to have to make the big pressure, of course, on the defense. When you line up guys that straight, you got to be able to tackle, and if you don't, it's going to be a long day.
Tough to stop Thomas Jones, too, no matter what. Play action again for Ellis. He's got loads of time. Throws it away. Good coverage downfield. Kevin Coffey was the intended receiver, but he had Carswell and Ardley all over him.
Okay, here's Kevin Coffey, and it basically just breaks off his route early. They've had a little bit of communication problems twice now in this game.
And Dan Ellis so far just 2 of 5 for 21 yards. Coffey, by the way, came out of the ball game earlier, injured his right hand, but obviously back in. So it's 2nd and 10 for the Cavs. Play action, Ellis. Hit from behind, got away, but now he goes down at the 31-yard line. Bryant McNeil, number 91, a backup defensive end, got there first. Jason Holloman eventually got him as well.
One thing that I wasn't expecting to see quite so early was the pressure from the outside. If this continues, it's really, because Clemson's had a tradition of great defense, I didn't expect it to be comfortable already like this. And pressure is really going to hurt Dan Ellis.
This was once, without question, one of the most intimidating places to play in college football. And that's what Tommy Bowden is trying to return here. And right now it is loud. Ellis on the run, tucks it, goes down hard at the 30. Gonna lose a yard. Jason Holloman again in there, along with number 99 Childress. Boy, this is a defensive front that has just been all over Dan Ellis.
Well, Childress is putting a lot of pressure on Brad Barnes, the right tackle, who's pretty new to this, even though he's very large. He's looking like he's not quick enough.
So Mal Lawyer back again to receive the punt of Donnie Scott. Much better punt this time. Lawyer at his own 21. Nifty move. Upended at the 32-yard line.
Ooh, he might have hurt his shoulder there.
He came down hard. A punt of 49, and Lawyer's still down. By the way, Tuesday, September 21st, while we have a moment, on the shocking season premiere of Dharma and Greg. Greg is gone. Oh, my gosh. And he's been replaced by another guy. Dharma and Greg on the ABC premiere Tuesday, September 21st.
Donnie Scott from my old high school, St. Albans School in Washington, D.C., one of the most underrated punters in the country, actually had a net average of 38 yards last year.
So Clemson taking over with 36 seconds here in the first quarter. And again, the no huddle. 4 receivers set, going inside though this time.
You know, you see the way Virginia's lining up. They got those 2 safeties back. Even Lazan is 10 yards off the ball, so they're just daring Brandon Streeter to take the short pass.
There's Rick Lance, the defensive coordinator, former Marine, been a long-time coach in college football, and has made this Virginia defense certainly one of the best in the ACC every year, and maybe one of the best in the country at times. Not playing like it right now, though. Clemson able to move the football at will. Zachary, one way, goes back to the other, and up to the 37-yard line before Maurice Anderson makes the stop. Tommy Bowden, though, thrilled with the way things have started here in Death Valley. The loss last week to Marshall, but a much different story on offense so far. They are up by 2 touchdowns. It's been all Tigers so far, 14-0 as we open up the second quarter. 3rd and 3 coming up for Clemson at the 39-yard line. And it's been a harsh welcome so far for the Virginia Cavaliers. And a sea of orange. Streeter out of the shotgun. May have drawn him offsides. Maurice Anderson came across and I believe made contact.
Virginia, I think, is missing that sense of core leadership they had with Wally Rayner, who's starting middle linebacker this season for the Cleveland Browns. Anthony Poindexter, the best safety in the country last year, and Patrick Kearney, All-American.
So the offsides will move the chains again, and George Welsh will have a conversation with his defensive coordinator at some point here, Rick Lance, to try to see how they can stop the Tigers. It's been a multifaceted offense so far, and we knew that coming in, but it didn't work on all cylinders last week against Marshall for Tommy Bowden. Rick Lance is seeing it at its best today. 9th first down of the ball game for Clemson. Trips to the near side, going to throw it out to Wofford. Looking for a block, he ran right into his own man. Jackie Robinson out there trying to block for him, but he actually cut down Wofford.
Those are the little details I think that'll work themselves out later in the season, but by and large, a big improvement in their rhythm already compared to last week.
Oklahoma State up big on Tulsa, as you see some of the scores. A big day of college football today. Second and 8 for Streeter. No pressure. He's got Loyer wide open to the 30-yard line. Mal Loyer, the senior out of Moncks Corner, South Carolina, and a gain of 24 before Jerton Evans, the freshman, could bring him down.
Well, they only had one safety back there in the middle, and Brandon Streeter read it really well and was going to Loyer all the way.
Loyer, the senior, had 6 catches a week ago, was their second leading receiver last year, and a dangerous man. So it's 1st and 10. Streeter going deep. Gardner, contact and out of the end zone. Looked like he may have pushed off. He made the catch, but he was well out of the end zone. And we take a look at the first quarter statistics.
Well, I mean, it's all about the passing game for Clemson, but, you know, it's got to give confidence to this young offensive line to be able to protect their quarterback and get a chance to get off and running.
And the turnover a key early on, because that's what set up Clemson. The sack and the fumble. Clemson recovering in Virginia territory. That last pass, the first miss for Streeter in the last 8 attempts. Going to keep it after the play fake to the 26. And that's something you really don't see Streeter doing that much, but we've seen it a couple of times today already.
We talked about it yesterday. I said, you know, if Streeter can run the ball 5 or 6 times, kind of pretend to be that old option quarterback just a couple times, he's such an athlete. I think he's going to stay healthy. I think he can take a hit, and it really puts so much more pressure to watch out for one more thing like that for Virginia.
Well, he took a hit and then some last year in the first 2 or 3 ball games. I mean, he was down so many times. I think he earned a lot of respect from his teammates that he never went out of the ball game. Tigers needing a timeout here. Not only the plays that are called from the sidelines, but also the audibles. Many of those called from the sideline as well. So not able to get it off, and they'll talk it over on the sideline. 14-0. It'll be 3rd and 7 for the Tigers in a moment here. Tommy Bowden on your left, trying to do what George Welsh has already done at Virginia, and that's turn around a program. Of course, the past glory days were great ones for Clemson, but not as of late. Out of the gun is Streeter. He's going to run it again. Finds a bit of a hole, but Eugenio Isabel slams him to the turf just inside the 25.
Well, they're going to go for the field goal. This is going to be an important test for the young kicker. He's just got to keep his head down and not open up. And when you get nervous, that's the first thing that happens, because all his kicks yesterday last week hooked right to left.
Yeah, he missed the 2 field goals a week ago, but hit a 42-yarder. This one from 41 yards. Flag on the play. And it's wide right. We'll see what the penalty is about, though. Against the Cavaliers, and nothing has gone the way of George Welsh today.
They looked a little rushed on that field goal, but in the end it didn't matter.
The second penalty in this drive for the Cavaliers, and this one is huge. Well, talked to George yesterday, and he knew they'd be up against it because of all the injuries defensively, especially in the secondary. But you get yourself down by 14 points now, and you've got an offense that is built around Thomas Jones running the football. You got a young quarterback in Dan Ellis, and you can't afford to get down any more than this.
Well, the bottom line, though, is there's a lot of football left in this game, and they proved they could move up the field reasonably quickly, even with Thomas Jones.
Well, it was 4th and 5 before that penalty. So now the officials about to measure.
George Welsh was not in the best of moods yesterday, would you say, Terry? He knew that he had his hands full. He kind of understates things. I don't think he likes to do those interviews the day before the game anyway. But
well, the plane was about an hour and a half late, so I get a little testy when that happens too. So as they measure, we'll get the call right now from Jim Knight.
Offside defense. There was slightly more than 5 yards to be gained.
So 4th and inches. And Tommy Bowden going to go for it now. 4th and about 2 inches as they measured, and Tommy wants a timeout to talk it over. And Brandon Streeter will come to the sideline and talk it over with Tommy. See if they change their mind. 4th and inches when we come back. So back in Clemson, 4th and inches for the Tigers coming up. Tommy Bowden just calling the timeout to talk it over. He attempted the field goal moments ago. George Welsh with the hat back on.
I think this is a great test for the Clemson offensive line. You know, they're 45 pounds less per man than last year. See what they can do against this huge Virginia line.
Witherspoon and Javis Austin. It'll be Austin led by Witherspoon, fighting his way, and we'll have to wait for the measurement. Virginia players signaling that he did not get it, as you would expect. And it all depends on the spot. Had to get inside the 20.
I think he made it by about 3 inches. That's my pick.
So it's 4th and 2 inches, and you think he gained about 5, huh?
That's about it.
Boy, this is a key spot early in this game. 14-0 already, Clemson.
Come on, guys, get that thing over here now.
And here it is. Maybe by about 4 inches.
Thank you.
Good call, Nick Lowry. 1st and 10 for Tommy Bowden and the Clemson Tigers. They've run effectively today. They've passed effectively today. They've done just about anything they've wanted to do offensively.
Watch for another try to Rod Gardner in the next couple plays.
1st and 10 at the 19. That's Austin in the backfield along with Streeter and 4 wideouts. Javis Austin, a hole initially, but then he's pounded to the turf at the 16-yard line. Byron Thweet was in there on the hit. A Butkus candidate and the leader of this defense for Virginia.
One of the things Tommy Bowden wants people to understand, too, is what he did at Tulane was not just a hurry-up offense. They could run the ball as well. 200 yards a game last year.
Well, it's not a run and shoot, that's for sure. They just operate out of the no huddle and the shotgun. Play action, Streeter, no time. Down he goes. He may have lost one. Isabel was in there along with Chris Williams, the redshirt freshman out of Newport News, Virginia.
Good coverage by Tim Spruill out there on the corner.
So it'll bring up 3rd and 8 now. Streeter with an amazing day so far. 11 out of 13, couple of touchdowns. Wofford with a touchdown catch early. And Zachary has given new life to this offense. 3rd and 8. Straight drop, plenty of time. And the receiver, Warrior, slipped at the 4-yard line. He would have been wide open.
Well, this could have been a completion. Mal Lawyer simply on his cut gets a little bit enthusiastic shove by Shannon Taylor.
That's why he went down. I didn't see the shove initially. Yeah. So it's Lazara on, and this time it's good. And he'll breathe a sigh of relief.
It was barely good, but baby, that's all you care about.
That's all that counts. He missed 2 last week, nearly lost his job, but he puts one up at 17-0, Clemson. Presentation of college football brought to you by the new Chevy Silverado. It's not just any truck, it's the truck. Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. The Water Boy, Touchstone home video scores with outrageous bonus footage. And Burger King. When you have it your way, it just tastes better. Everything tasting good for the Tigers right now. 17-0. They are up on the Virginia Cavaliers. They'll bring this one out to the 35 after it goes out of bounds. Well, they lost last week, but Tommy Bowden's father had some unique advice and congratulatory notes.
Tommy, I want to congratulate you last week for not making the same mistake Terry made, going out and winning your first game, and your second game, your third game, and all of them. Because, as you know, there ain't but one way you can go. So at least you've gotten off to a good start, if you know what I mean. I know what a battle you had last week. I was scared of them because they're a heck of a football team. And, again, you got your hands full this year. There's no doubt about it.
There was no dadgummit, though.
Yeah, but there was Dad. That was a real dad talking.
Well, I'm not sure Tommy agrees with that in any way, shape, or form. Here goes Thomas Jones running out of bounds at the 39. But Tommy, we talked to him the other day, and certainly what he's been able to accomplish so far, all that experience helping him here. But he said this is a different situation because you are rebuilding a program that was once very, very good and won a national championship in 81-82.
Well, you know, when you got a new guy in there that's done it right with Tulane, the other guys, the new guys, are going to listen to this new coach.
Gain of 3 for Jones on first down, so it brings up 2nd and 7. Ellis gives it to Jones again, finds a hole to the 45, and close to a first down. He may have it. DeMarco Fox, the senior out of Philadelphia, Mississippi, brought him down. So it is 17-0. Clemson on top of Virginia here in Death Valley. Clemson, South Carolina. It has been all Tigers so far. First 2 touchdown passes of the year for Brandon Streeter, and they came in the first quarter. Terry Gannon, Nick Lowry in what has been a surprising game so far. Thomas Jones in motion to the near side this time. Ellis, a straight drop. Going to throw long up top, a battle, and it's caught at the 18-yard line. What a catch by Demetrius Dotson.
Well, you know, this is an absolutely critical drive for Virginia to stay in the game, and also for Dan Ellis and his leadership. That could not have been a more perfect pass. Look at the coverage there. It's man for man. You couldn't have done better. Dexter Polite right on him, and look at the catch. Doesn't get any better than that.
Oh, fought off Polite to make the catch. 37 yards on the pass play. So it's 1st and 10 on the 18. New life for Virginia offensively. Jones, not much going on. May have gained 2, down to about the 16 before Braxton Williams brought him to the ground.
You know, those linebackers for Clemson are so quick, and maybe they're a little bit more quick now that they're leading and they've got a little bit more juice in their veins.
There you have a look at a couple of them. Braxton Williams, number 48. Chad Carson, number 46. Along with Keith Adams, number 43. All sophomores for the Tigers. 2nd and 8. No pressure on Ellis. Now he is. And run out of bounds inside the 15.
When I see Ellis running to his right or to his left, I don't feel very confident for Virginia. It's a little bit like Elvis Grbac and Gannon, who was so mobile for Kansas City. You know, last year Aaron Brooks is one of the most mobile, fleet quarterbacks you can have, but that is not a trait that Dan Ellis has, and he's going to have to be successful in the pocket for Virginia to be successful.
Gets it done with his toughness, his intelligence, knowing the system, his reads, the numbers so far. Not what Ellis would want, but the big play a moment ago to Demetrius Dotson. But a big 3rd down coming up here. 3rd and 7. Overthrows Dotson. Well covered by Alex Ardley.
Well, actually, Dotson did have a lane there, but he threw the ball high. Coming in from the right side of your screen. He's got a little room, but he throws it high.
Again, Ellis under pressure, though, this time from Keith Adams, as you look at Demetrius Dotson with a great catch a moment ago, but the drive is stalled. So a 33-yarder now. Todd Braverman had the game-winning field goal last week against North Carolina and hits the upright. Holy cow, how many things could go wrong for Virginia in this first half?
I would have expected Todd Braverman to have some confidence after that big field goal last week, but it's amazing when you go on the road how quickly things can change.
Braverman, who missed the field goal last year in the bowl game, which would have been the game winner. Officially, this one from 32 yards. That close.
It looked like the hold was good, and you know, maybe he was just a little bit too lackadaisical. Sometimes you pick up your head just a little bit early and you don't follow through, and the ball does not have that slight hook on it that it normally does.
So on 1st down, ball out of the hands of Mel Lawyer. Was it a catch or not? They're going to say he did catch it and fumbled it, but it went out of bounds, fortunately for the Tigers. Shenard Newby on the coverage and the hit.
A lot of pressure on Shenard today. I mean, you know, that great tradition. We talked about Anthony Poindexter. He's got to fill in for Antoine Harris, who's a very experienced defensive back at both corner and safety, and it's Clemson's intent to make his life hell today.
Completed pass, fumble, ball out of bounds behind the spot of the fumble. That's where we'll play the next down.
So you get the explanation from Jim Knight, and it's 2nd and 16. They lose some yardage, but certainly a fortunate bounce of the football out of bounds. 4 receivers set. Streeter, the quick throw. Got Gardner this time across the 20 out to the 24-yard line. Shenard Newby again on the coverage. Gardner, the man you mentioned earlier, expecting maybe a big play to him, or at least a try every quarter. He's got great size and that size advantage. 6'3", 211, and a junior out of Jacksonville, Florida.
He's also very strong.
Third down play coming up. And Clemson will take the timeout. So while they do, it is time for us now to give you the Aflac trivia question of the week. Here's a good one for you. Who's the coach of Clemson at the turn of the last century as we head to the new millennium now? The turn of the last century, not the last millennium. We're not going back to the Stone Age. But who is the coach here at Clemson?
Can we give people a hint?
Beginning of the century. No, they don't need a hint.
Okay.
It's got smart football fans that watch ABC's college football.
Still the winningest coach in Clemson history by percentage.
I don't think he gave it away. But we'll see. Give you the answer in a couple of minutes. That was the last time out for Clemson, by the way. You look at Brandon Streeter, the graduate student, the only graduate student on this Clemson team.
You know, this offense, what it does is the defense cannot afford to bring in substitutions because of the threat of going quickly. It's not really a hurry-up offense. It's more a no-huddle offense, and they have that threat of making it a hurry-up offense. Because they don't huddle, the defense can't make those adjustments, and it also wears them out.
So a big third down coming up for Streeter and the Tigers now. 3 receivers, Zachary in the backfield along with Streeter. Out of the shotgun. Quick throw, Gardner has it, he's got a first down. And more across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Rod Gardner after the quick strike from Brandon Streeter.
Well, one of the things that the San Francisco 49ers always talk about is it's not just the short pass, it's also what you do after you make the catch. And when you break one tackle out there in the secondary, you can get big yardage.
Yeah, Jerry Rice has broken a few for the 49ers over the years. Rick Lance still trying to figure out this Clemson offense. First down. Pump fake, they throw to the sideline. Picked off by Virginia. Jerton Evans, the freshman, who gets the playing time today and the first interception of the game. Streeter, maybe for the first time today, made a play he shouldn't have.
Well, yeah, I think he forced it a little bit. It was a little bit short-armed, tried to fake that short pass. But the good news is it's basically like a half-decent punt.
Well, last year, 13 touchdowns, 14 interceptions for Streeter. That's a number he'd like to, a ratio he'd like to turn around this year. But another break for Virginia. See if they can capitalize, though. First big mistake for Tommy Bowden's ball club. Ellis under pressure, throws it up. Jones out of the backfield. Incomplete. There's a flag out here at the 45-yard line. A good 40 yards away from where that play took place. Defensive holding against the Tigers. Only the second penalty for the Tigers today.
Holding by the defense on a forward pass play. The ball crossed the line of scrimmage. The holding was committed against an eligible receiver. 10 yards, automatic first down.
So Jimmy giving us a description of what took place.
He's pretty good at that.
I like that.
They change the rules every year, and he still stays on top of it.
So it brings it out to the 36-yard line, just outside the 35. First and 10, Thomas Jones looking for room. Hasn't had much today. Gain of about 4 up to the 40. Well, earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question. Who was the coach of Clemson at the turn of the last century? Well, Downtown Athletic Club, John Heisman.
Thank you. And by the way,
1903.
Some people don't know this because he doesn't talk about himself a whole lot, but George Welsh finished 3rd in the Heisman balloting in 1955 as a quarterback at Navy.
There you go. John Heisman, you knew he coached at Georgia Tech, but not many knew that he coached right here at Clemson. Went around the room last night, and you and I knew that. I think that's about it. Ellis under pressure, over the middle, complete. In Clemson territory to the 44-yard line. So a first down for the Virginia Cavaliers. Demetrius Dotson on another big catch, a gain of 17.
Well, that was a nice execution by Ellis, because Billy Baber, who I think was the intended receiver, is well covered in the middle, and he goes to his second receiver and, you know, really forced it in there very nicely, and a great catch.
Courageous catch. He knew he was going to get hit. Long count for Ellis now. Play action. Going to throw it up top. Coffey was out there, but again, maybe some miscommunication. Alex Ardley on the coverage.
All these injuries are catching up, by the way. I mean, they're missing not only the defensive players, they're missing Casey Crawford at tight end.
Look at the one-on-one matchup between Ardley and Coffey, and Ardley has had the best of that so far today.
Ardley basically just let him run up his back.
You know, Coffey's going to be heard from at some point, though. 2nd and 10. 4 receivers set, the shotgun. Quick out. Jones with the catch, the run, and the first down. Carswell made the hit, but they'll move the change for the Cavs.
There was a huge breakdown on the right side. If Dan Ellis had only seen it, there were 2 receivers split right, and there was only 1 cornerback on them. They got that ball to him quickly. It could have been a touchdown.
Great vision Thomas Jones has. That's one thing when you talk to coaches of other teams, they say, just got great vision and knows when to make a cut left or right. Just can feel it. 1st and 10 at the 33. There goes Thomas Jones, and he slipped.
Well, Thomas Jones is to this team what Terrell Davis is to the Broncos. He's got great vision, but he runs with every corpuscle in his body. I mean, he just explodes. He's a great slasher and a great cutback runner, too.
Never heard it described that way, but it's...
Well,
you're right about that.
Corpuscles are kind of forgotten about. They deserve a little bit more appreciation.
Underrated. There's no question. Thomas with 65 yards on the day. He'll get a breather. As the 2nd and 4 play comes up for the Cavaliers. Tyree Foreman, the sophomore out of Sandy Spring, Maryland, is right behind Anthony Southern. Foreman with the carry, fights his way to about the 26-yard line. Tyree was the high school player of the year in the Washington, D.C. area a couple of years ago. Gained over 4,700 yards in high school. Only scored 82 touchdowns. That was it. And a touchdown the first time he touched the ball for Virginia a year ago. He'll go out. Thomas Jones back in on 3rd and a long 2. Maybe 3.
Well, what do you think? Think they're going to run it again?
Go with the bread and butter. Play action. Out of the backfield, the big fullback Southern. Rumbling down the sideline. And knocked out of bounds at the 6-yard line. There's a flag late on the play. Anthony Southern, all 6 feet, 243 pounds of him out of the backfield.
Here goes Anthony Southern, who used to run a 10-500 meters when he was about 30 pounds lighter. Goes untouched out of the backfield here. Did not play last week. Pat Washington did. Frankly, the coach was not happy, I think. He didn't say it, but he was not very happy with Southern's performance in the preseason. But he's back in there today. And Pat Washington is a little banged up, I understand.
Well, it's a gain of 19, but they're going to bring it back after the holding call. Southern gets a breather on the sideline.
One of the hard things in college football, Terry, is do not hold if you get positive offensive
illegal
yards.
block in the back by the offensive team. It is a hard spot foul. The line to gain, play, step on.
So it's from the spot, and it will be a first down. Top of your screen here, watch. No question. Chad Carson, the man who was blocked late, and I'm not sure that Southern needed it anyway. So it's a first down. Thomas Jones gets the call on the right side. Fights his way to the 12.
It's that old downhill running style. And, you know, on this field, it truly is downhill running. They've got a big crown in the middle of the field. It really helps a powerful runner like Thomas Jones. From Big Stone Gap, Virginia.
This sounds like a football player's hometown, doesn't it?
They got a lot of guys on these teams from Black Mountain and Big Stone Gap.
Merrill Robertson, a freshman in at fullback now, ahead of Thomas Jones, out of the eye. Coffey goes in motion on 2nd and 5. Jones the call again. Slides by 1, fights his way to the 10. Needs to get inside the 9 for the first down. Javon Bush made the stop.
Chad Carson in the middle, number 46 for Clemson, missed a tackle there that could have kept him to a 1 or 2 yard gain. He's interesting. He's got a 3.6 grade point average. He's pre-med, very quiet in the classroom. Once he puts on the football uniform, he's the kind of guy that gets into fights in practice all the time.
Different story on the field. 3rd and 2, the crowd's back into it. Jones over the right side. He lost the football. Still in play, and the Tigers have it. Terry Bryant got there. Carson in the middle of it all. And Thomas Jones has fumbled, and this was the best opportunity so far for Virginia to get on the board.
Well, it wasn't the guy that recovered the ball. It's the guy that saved it from going out of bounds. Unbelievable effort.
Watch Carson. Oh, that was Williams who saved it.
Braxton Williams has speed like nobody else in that linebacking corps.
What a play. The two sophomores, Williams and Carson, involved in saving that ball and recovering it. So it goes back to the Clemson Tigers with just under 4 minutes to play until halftime. Travis Zachary finds a little bit of a hole over the right side, ahead for 2. Lubomir Stamanic, number 91, made the stop.
Well, that's just got to kill Virginia. I mean, they were playing well, and we talked about how much it didn't seem like Thomas Jones fumbled too much. He had one fumble last week, but usually he only fumbles about once every 2 or 3 games.
It was a fumble that wasn't called. The replay showed a fumble, but
right.
They had whistled it dead, so officially not even one last week. 2nd and 9, 4 receivers set. Nothing going on in the backfield. Back to the 11-yard line goes Zachary. Shannon Taylor got in there quickly, and a loss of 5 on the play.
Well, if I'm Clemson, I've got 3 minutes left in the half. I'm ahead 17-0. I'm going to be real careful right now.
Real conservative inside your own 15. Although this is not an offense that is based around conservative play. Just out of the grasp. Streeter throwing on the run. He's got a man. It's Wofford. Wide open and knocked out of bounds at midfield. Brian Wofford. Run down by Jermaine Lazan.
Streeter breaks the tackle. The other great thing about having an athletic quarterback, when you get out there outside the hashes, you've got a great read. It's a pretty clean read. It's usually one-on-one, and he's wide open coming up the sidelines here, and a perfect pass.
39 yards on the play, and Clemson has come up with every big play today. So it's 1st and 10. They get out of trouble deep in their own territory. And now you start thinking about scoring. Streeter to Wofford again. He's wide open. Inside the 25 to the 23 before Jason Small wraps him up.
That ball didn't have quite as much mustard as you'd like, but it was perfectly timed.
A gain of 26 right after the gain of 39. So it is 1st and 10 at the 24. That depleted secondary of Virginia, without Stukes, without Harris, having a tough time of it today. Play action again. Streeter on the run. Flag on the play as he's knocked out at the 21. Thrown by the back judge. Shannon Taylor knocks Streeter out of bounds. Get the call from Jim Knight, and it is a face mask against Virginia.
Byron Threet, number 32, showing some frustration for the first time. The very disciplined Virginia defense.
By the defense, 5 yards, first down.
Well, looked like they were both going at it. Gardner and Small. So it's 1st and 2 as George Welsh has had a long first half. The reverse, Wofford, nothing going on. Shannon Taylor, he read it perfectly.
Well, Streeter had a good block, but Shannon Taylor was not fooled completely.
Didn't fool either one, Stamanic or Taylor.
It was almost quarterback on cornerback. Shannon Taylor is a former excellent quarterback in high school.
So after 1st and 2, they back him up. It's 2nd and 7. Quick out. Gardner gets away from one. Inside the 10. And out of bounds at the 6-yard line. It'll be first and goal for the Clemson Tigers.
You know, when Christian Okoye, all 260 pounds of him, used to pound on defenses for the Chiefs at running back, they'd get tired of tackling. Well, this team, Virginia, looks like it's getting tired of tackling simply in the secondary. Just again and again and again, that relentless offense is wearing them down.
So first and goal from the 6. And now under center for the first time, Brandon Streeter. Witherspoon, the fullback. He gets the ball inside the 5 to about the 4, and you hear the Spoon call.
Spoon was 270 pounds when Tommy Bowden was hired, and he's gotten down to a svelte 250.
Yes. Well, those 5:30 a.m. workouts will do that.
You know, he looks thinner than Anthony Southern does at fullback for Virginia.
They're both loads. No timeouts left now for the Clemson Tigers. Streeter throws to the end zone, incomplete. Mal Lawyer, the intended receiver. They tied him up. It'll bring up third and goal now. 17-0, and the Tigers threatening again. George Welsh knew it was going to be a tough task today because of all the injuries and Tommy Bowden leading this Clemson team. Through the hands of Gardner and incomplete. Jason Small on the coverage. One-on-one with Gardner.
2 consecutive times they've gone at number 4, Jason Small, who did not play small on those 2. The balls were both thrown a little bit outside, being maybe a little bit overly cautious. But if I'm throwing to Rod Gardner, all 6'3", 211 pounds of him, I'm going to throw the ball high because he's going to be able to out-jump Small.
This a 21-yard attempt for Lazara, who's already hit from 33. Perfect. 2 for 2 today for Tony Lazara, and it is 20-0. Well, moments away from halftime. Right now, we'll get an update on what's coming up at the half from John Saunders in New York. Well, I love it here. 20-0. Clemson on top of Virginia.
Well, the ghosts of Frank Howard and Danny Ford, who's actually only 51 years old, I believe, are definitely here. The crowd is absolutely pumped.
Now, Frank Howard, certainly a legendary name in these parts. And in this series, I think if you look at rivalries, Clemson certainly, the rivalry with South Carolina, a huge one. But Clemson won the first 29 games in this series. Don't forget that. And Virginia has now won 4 of the last 5. So this is one of those games that Clemson coming in certainly wanted to get. And Brandon Streeter, look at his numbers so far. Wow.
Well, he's only really had that one major mistake where he underthrew the ball down the right sideline. Frank Howard has a famous story that when they were still winning all the time, they were practicing before a game in Charlottesville, and a Charlottesville fan with a cap and looking kind of professorial said, "We're going to beat you tomorrow, Frank." And Frank Howard said, "That's what your granddaddy said."
Short kick this time, taken at the 25 and up to about the 27. That's where Virginia will start. Well, more action next week here on ABC. In this region, you will see number 24 NC State taking on the number 1 team in the nation, the Florida State Seminoles, in Tallahassee. Regional action. Here's your lineup. If you want one of those games, make sure you call your cable operator, DirecTV, or Dish Network for all the games on pay-per-view. Wolfpack 2-0 so far. And a win over Texas.
How about that?
And South Carolina. 49 seconds left now for the Cavaliers. Thomas Jones over the left side has a hole. Carswell runs him out of bounds
Number 6, Thomas Jones.
as he gets up to the 35.
Except for that fumble, Virginia might well be much more in this game.
Thomas Jones with some good runs today. 74 yards, 73 make that on the afternoon, but hasn't really broken one yet. Hit hard up to the 38-yard line or close to it.
In fact, maybe the best run of the day, Terry, was Braxton Williams keeping that ball in bounds after that fumble.
Yeah.
Incredible effort.
A gain of 2 yards for Thomas Jones.
Well, the breaks certainly have not gone Virginia's way. They've had the ball from Braverman that hit the upright. They're going to measure now as Thomas Jones close to the first down. About a half a yard shy.
3rd and 1 for the Cavaliers.
Well, one nice thing about having those fast linebackers on the outside in Williams and Adams is when they do blitz, they get to the quarterback. And, you know, even if you're 190 pounds, if you're coming full tilt, you can put some damage on the quarterback.
Third and 1 for the Cavaliers after the measurement. Tavon Mason in motion. Here goes Jones. Trip behind the line of scrimmage. That was Arlen Harris actually, and Keith Adams got there quickly. And the clock continues to run, and George Welsh is going to say, guys, let's regroup. That's enough for the first half. Tommy Bowden, what a great start to this game for him. After the loss last week to Marshall, his offense clicked on all cylinders. They did everything right in the first half, got some breaks, the defense with some big stops, and George Welsh going back to try to figure out how they're going to stop the Tigers and move the football. 20-0. Clemson with the lead at the half over Virginia.
Well, one of the things we talked about is Dan Ellis capable of leading this team to victory if it's on his shoulders?
Well, it's got to bring him back in this second half. Can't be all Jones. Got to be Dan Ellis as well. Valvoline halftime 99 comes up in a little bit. 20-0 Clemson here.
This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series.
Back in Clemson, South Carolina, Death Valley, and it has been all of that for the Clemson Tigers so far. 20-0 as we're about to start the second half over Virginia. Terry Gannon, Nick Lowry with you, and they were dominated in the first half. Virginia was offensively, defensively. If you're George Welsh, what do you do right now? What's your strategy?
Well, I don't think you panic and you think you have to throw the ball every single down. I think you can still continue to depend on Thomas Jones, but you might think that Thomas is more valuable right now receiving. He caught 28 passes last year. He's not caught one pass this season. He's too big a factor, and I think they're going to forget about him. I think that could be a good factor if they take advantage of it.
And remember that big offensive line, too, just perhaps wearing down that Clemson defense. The Morgan Stanley Dean Witter first half stats, 232 yards in the air for Brandon Streeter.
Well, they're all playing with tremendous confidence. Brandon Streeter actually ran the ball 5 times for 14 yards. Not big yardage, but keeps them honest, and they're just keeping them off balance. They're stretching the field up and down and side to side.
10 points off the turnovers for Clemson, and Clemson did not punt in the entire first half.
Plus probably that fumble from Thomas Jones that took the air out of Virginia. They were driving. They were only about 15 yards away.
There's Brian Wofford back deep, awaiting this second half kickoff, and it is underway. Wofford 3 yards deep, going to bring it out. Looks for a seam and a block. Ball is loose on the turf. It looked like the Tigers got it back initially, and they did. Whew. Well, the success of this offense is no huddle offense, the first half possessions for the Tigers.
Well, you know, look at the efficiency of it. You did not have to punt, and the field goal guys got a little bit of confidence themselves. The big thing now is, if you're Clemson, you're still fighting that ghost. Don't make those big mistakes that lets Virginia get a little sense that they're still in the ball game. Play mistake-free football for the next 15 minutes, and you've got a real good shot at winning.
Streeter went to Brian Wofford 6 times in the first half for 101 yards. So on 1st and 10, he's going to throw. Mal Lawyer with the catch. They start the second half the same way the first half ended. He's got a first down out at the 45-yard line before Chris Williams can make the stop.
Well, when we're thinking about it, the pressure still is on those freshman safeties for Virginia. I mean, this game could well be a different one if Anthony Poindexter was still there with Wally Rayner in the middle. But they aren't there, and they just don't play with that same confidence.
Gain of 22. Lawyer banged up. He comes out for at least a play. So it's 1st and 10 now from the 43. And 4 receivers set. Quick out. Mike Seth, his first catch of the afternoon, but a nice play by Byron Thweet, the outside linebacker who was locked up one-on-one.
Well, you got the comparison here. Ellis just did not make the big plays when he had to, and perhaps his biggest mistake was not seeing the rush from the blind side that caused him to fumble when he was hit and blindsided, and that really is what got Clemson going in the beginning.
But Virginia has certainly come back before, and you've got a dangerous Thomas Jones and a huge offensive line with which to do it. Streeter on the run, plenty of time, has a man. It's Wofford open inside the 40 of Virginia. A good catch before he's knocked out of bounds by Shenard Newby. And a nice job by Wofford keeping the feet in.
All you need is that 1 foot.
Had the other one down first.
Shenard Newby is playing him very soft, too. They're going to have to take some risks here. I'm not sure that he has the confidence and the experience to do that.
7th catch of the afternoon for Brian Wofford. Inside give to Travis Zachary, gets away from one. It bounces ahead to the 33-yard line. Should have been stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, that was Maurice Anderson making a great play, jumping right at the snap. But that's what Travis Zachary brings that Javis Austin maybe doesn't have quite so much of. A little bit more power, breaks a tackle of a very large man and gets him, what, 4 or 5 yards.
So it brings up 2nd and 5 after the gain of 5. This offense moving the ball at will in the opening moments of the second half. There's Rod Gardner with a catch. He's got another first down for Clemson. Boy, they go to Gardner, they go to Wofford, they give it to Zachary. Any way you want it, running the football, throwing the football. This is an offense that last week struggled, but not today.
Timing is what this offense is all about. And Streeter has plenty of time to get his passes off.
A career day for Brandon Streeter. Zachary looks for room on the left side. No room there. Maybe gets a yard before being knocked out by Chris Williams, the redshirt freshman.
Well, the guards pull a lot in this offense. They're not big, but they're fast and they're agile. And you'll see them, I think, grow into this the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. I think the offense is going to get more comfortable with what's expected of them.
So out of the gun again for Streeter. With time, he's had it all day long. Gardner was knocked out of bounds and nowhere near that football.
Well, so far, Virginia's playing very vanilla. They're playing off. They're doing really what I expected them to do in the first quarter, and they've got time right now, and I guess they're hoping that Clemson is going to make a mistake. But
by design, you're talking about the soft.
Exactly.
Plays come in from the sidelines for Tommy Bowden, Rick Stockstill, and Brad Scott, the former South Carolina head coach, signaling in. Zachary with a catch inside the 10 to the 5. And a first down and goal for the Tigers.
Anytime any quarterback has this much time, you're going to complete the pass. That's about 4.5 seconds. Great catch, though.
Brennell Isabel on the tackle along with Sproul. But Streeter just had patience. He had the time, and he waited for his receiver to get open. 14 passes to 2 running plays for first downs for the Tigers. 1st and goal. Zachary bounces back out, stopped just inside the 5.
They did this in the first half. They went to the
And there's a penalty flag on the far side of the field.
They went to under center for one of the only times in the whole game. And the I formation, something we didn't expect to see.
Offside, defense, 1/2 the distance to the goal. Repeat the down. First.
Well, it's been a game in which the breaks have gone against Virginia, but they've made some mistakes too, and that's uncharacteristic of a George Welsh club. So it's 1st and goal now from just outside the 2. Zachary looks for room. He's got plenty of it. Touchdown, Tigers. Will Merritt, the right guard, led the way for Travis Zachary.
Right side of the line is the least experienced of this very, very young line, but they just knocked him inside, and the linebacker was nowhere to be found.
So Tony Lazzara will come on for the extra point. Got it up and good again. He's been perfect today.
Byron Threet just manhandled on that play. Not something I wouldn't have expected to see.
More of the same from the Tigers. 7 on the board, and it's 27-0 over Virginia. Travis Zachary scored the touchdown, but Will Merritt led the way.
Here's number 50 Merritt. He just comes up and nails Byron Threet.
You get the guard one-on-one with the linebacker, and no chance that time. And Threet, one of the most talented in the ACC. Jamie Somani, another kickoff. Tavon Mason at his own 3-yard line. Ball is loose at the 27 and picked up by the Tigers. Clemson has the football. Another mistake for the Cavaliers. Darryl Crutchfield caused the fumble. It was Brian Mance on the recovery.
Well, George Welsh has got to feel terrible because defense and special teams is his hallmark.
Third fumble of the afternoon for the Cavs. One of those days at the office. Amazing. 1st and 10 now at the 20 for Streeter and the Tigers. They give it inside to Austin. Fights his way down to about the 12.
You know, when you get ahead like this offense can kill you. They had a very strange formation. They had 2 wideouts, right, one behind the other on the right side, 2 on the left side. Stretch the defense, get them way outside so the box is free to read one way or the other, and Javis Austin did that.
So it's 2nd and 3 for Tommy Bowden's club here, up 27-0 in the 3rd quarter. A lot of people felt they had a chance today, but nothing like this. Long count for Streeter under center for the 2nd time today. Austin looks to get outside, bounces back inside, close to a first down. I think he's got it. Just inside the 10-yard line, and that's where he needed to get. Sherrard Newby, the free safety, made the hit, but a little bit late.
One name we have not heard a lot from today, Terry, is Bruno Isabel. He had a great game last week. Very aggressive and confident player. Filled in quite well for Wally Rayner already, but he's not really been a factor today.
Isabel, the junior out of Bluefield, West Virginia. But it's 1st and goal from just inside the 10. 2 receivers to the near side, 1 to the far. And 2 backs in the backfield. They split them. Austin gets the call ahead for about 2, and there's your man, Brennan Isabel. Just want you to talk about him a little more often.
Well, the hard thing for this offense is to use up time, and that's of course what they want to do now, because if you get into the 4th quarter up by 27, I think you're in pretty good shape. Of course, I was with the Jets when we were up 24-6 against Miami in the 4th quarter and we lost. So
well, it happens.
It can happen.
Of course, you're talking about the Jets. Well, it's 2nd and goal now. Trips to the near side. Austin over the right side. Inside the 5 to the 3 after he rolls off a tackler. Chris Williams eventually wrapped him up along with Byron Tweet. And Clemson just grinding it out now. This is a defense for Virginia that's got to be awfully tired. Virginia racing players on the field for Rick Lance, which at times can be confusing against this offense. 3rd and goal out of the eye. Austin, the deep back. Witherspoon, the fullback. Austin gets the call, bouncing outside, trying to get to the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Clemson. Three-yard run for Javis Austin. It wasn't easy. He almost was caught behind the line of scrimmage.
Javis Austin showed a lot of power there coming to your left. Knocks it back right over number 49. It's too late.
Lazan got there, but as you say, way too late. Lazara hooks the extra point to the left. His first miss today. 33-0. ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by the Pontiac Sunfire. Hot set of wheels, money left to burn. National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. And Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. We measure success one investor at a time. They're sliding down the hill here in Death Valley. 33-0, and the celebration has started already, but we've got a long way to go in this one. 9:22 left in the 3rd quarter.
15 of Clemson's 20 first downs are by passing.
Arlen Harris at his own 7. Brought down at the 22. Returned it 15 yards. More ACC action tonight. And Georgia Tech. Joe Hamilton leading the way against Peter Warwick and the Florida State Seminoles. Number 10 against number 1. Should be a great matchup in Tallahassee. Tim Brandt, Dean Blevins there to call all the action. Tonight at 8 Eastern, right here on ABC Sports. The Noles tested early against the Yellow Jackets. Who do you like in that one?
I think Florida State is just too darn good. They're too deep, and they blew them out last year. This time it's at home.
But if Joe Hamilton can stay healthy, they've got a chance. Kevin Coffey with a catch at the 30, across the 35 to the 37. Before Alex Ardley makes the stop. Coffey has not been heard from much today. 1 catch for 12 yards in the first half. That was it. This one goes for 16. Well, the Bowdens, of course, Bobby down in Tallahassee. October 23rd, right here at Clemson. Father-son meeting for the first time ever in Division I. And Lou Holtz has made a little bit of noise, obviously, in Columbia taking the job. That matchup huge as well for the Clemson Tigers. Thomas Jones fighting his way close to a first down, about a yard shy. Chad Carson made the stop.
I wish they'd gone to Thomas Jones a little bit earlier in the first half out of the backfield. He just, you know, you get him out there against a defensive back, and he's going to get 15 yards.
Now there's Tommy. How about that matchup on the 23rd? Neither one wants to really talk about it yet because they've got games before that. But how'd you like to coach against your father, the guy who taught you everything? And he obviously knows most of what you've learned. There goes Thomas Jones breaking away. First big run really for Thomas in a while in this game, to the 36-yard line and a first down.
Well, what makes me think that his dad is pretty good at that psychological warfare, Terry? I'm sure he'll send all sorts of good wishes to his son and bury him when he can.
Well, this offense, one that Tommy Bowden has learned over the years, but remember Florida State first ran it way back when against Georgia Tech when Charlie Ward was there. By necessity. Late in that game, coming back. This one almost picked off. Alex Ardley with good coverage, and he had the best chance of making that catch.
Good coverage, and if Dan Ellis had thrown it immediately without hesitation, he might have had a chance. But by the time he threw it, that could easily have been an interception for a TD.
Ardley's been tested all day, and he's been up to the test. He had to go one-on-one with Dotson, with Coffey at times, and there with Tavon Mason. Thomas Jones with 94 yards on the day. He's had over 100 yards in each of the last 2 meetings against Clemson. Over the middle, contact, no flag. Yes, there it comes. Keith Adams over the back of the receiver.
Well, Clemson fans have not had a lot to boo about, but that actually was a good call. Adams was all over him on the back, I think.
Billy Baber, the intended receiver, the tight end. And Keith got there just a little too quick.
A little early.
Pass interference, defense, first down at the spot of the foul.
So they'll move the chains, the penalty on Adams. Only the 3rd today for Clemson.
You know, last week Virginia only had 1 penalty the whole game.
Early in the season, that's surprising. Tigers showing blitz. Here they come. Picked up well. Tip ball could have been picked off again.
It's just a matter of time, it looks like. He's forcing the ball in there.
Reggie Herring, the defensive coordinator, talked about the offense a lot today, but Reggie's defense, they've been terrific.
Well, that's the tradition for Clemson. I mean, they've had 11 NFL linebackers drafted in the top 5 rounds in the last 9 years.
Raheem Abdullah a year ago, Chris Jones. It's a one-on-one matchup. 3 receivers set now. On 2nd and 10. Jones out of the backfield. This is the play you wanted in the second half. Closes quickly, though. Thomas was hit hard at the 23. Robert Carswell hit him first.
Actually, I wanted that in the 2nd quarter. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit difficult at this point.
Now, timing is everything in life. So it brings up 3rd and 3. The Illini update today. Three of 8 on 3rd downs for Virginia. Listen to this crowd. The option to the near side. Jones going to have enough as he leaps over defenders and the 20-yard line. As the first down, Keith Adams was underneath him.
You know, when you're the dominant team that Virginia thought it was, certainly in the rushing game, that great offensive line, you don't have to innovate a whole lot. But it looks like today, you know, Virginia's going to this innovation out of necessity, whereas Clemson started it right off the bat, and they were able to get Virginia's defense on their heels the whole game.
Well, coming off that win over North Carolina, this was a team that was awfully confident, even though they had all the injuries in the secondary and on defense as a whole. Jones hit right away. Dumped at the 25. Guess who? Keith Adams, the sophomore out of College Park, Georgia.
I just want to say to those NFL scouts that are watching, the guy's 5'11", 5'10". Don't make him have to go to the World League. He's good enough. He's going to make it in the NFL. I predict that right now.
Give him a couple years first.
We'll
Let
wait
him
2
stick
years,
around here. Yeah, Clemson. Only a sophomore. A loss of 4 on the play. Look at the numbers for Streeter. 20 first downs for Clemson. Virginia trying to pick one up here. Going to the end zone and well covered. Actually, too well covered. Yep. A lot of contact. Braxton Williams had his hands all over Kevin Coffey.
Well,
you got a linebacker in Williams who has great speed for a linebacker against Coffey, the #1 receiver. And the interference called.
Pass interference. Defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
First and goal from the 7, and down goes Ellis. Keith Adams again. What a game he has had.
Well, you love it as a defensive player just to put your ears back and go for it.
Hey, they call him Bam Bam, and you can tell why, the way he's played today. Had 11 tackles a week ago, including a sack, and he has been all over the place today. So a loss of 1 at 2nd and goal now from the 8. Southern and Jones split in the backfield. Ellis to throw. Dotson had it and lost it. Ardley on the coverage. And the ball thrown behind Dotson, the only place where he could have caught that, though.
Yeah, that was really an excellent throw. Sometimes throwing behind the receiver gives you a lot of opportunities, and Dotson just didn't react quite quick enough. The ball was there.
Had it twice, actually. So it brings up 3rd and goal. 1 touchdown pass allowed in 14 quarters for Clemson. 3rd and goal from the 8. Ellis got a lane, fights to the 2. It closed quickly. Robert Carswell got him right before the goal line.
Well, Virginia knows that they got to do whatever it takes to win. The bottom line is their 2nd-string quarterback, with all due respect to David Rivers, does not have any experience at all. This is their guy.
Well, Dan Ellis, no question, is the man who's going to lead them throughout the season. So this is the man you want to get the experience and try to lead a comeback. And no question on the decision either for George Welsh. We got to go right now. 4th and goal. The ball just outside the 1. Jones, the lone setback. Ellis to throw. Got him. Touchdown. The catch made by Kevin Coffey.
Well, Chad Carson, number 46, the middle linebacker, cut to his right, anticipated well, and the ball was thrown right under his arms. Almost blocked it. Here he is reacting, going to your left. Good protection.
And that time it was Virginia spreading the field with the lone setback in Jones, and they didn't go to their best running back. Throwing it from just outside the 1. Braverman on for the extra point. And the Cavs are on the board. They got a long way to go here, but they've hit pay dirt at least. Ellis, the touchdown pass to Coffey. It's 33-7. Cavaliers on the board with a touchdown, but it's 33-7 Clemson. As you look at a sea of orange here at Death Valley, the excitement is back. The glory days, Danny Ford with a national championship, but Tommy Bowden now bringing it back to Clemson. Ryan Wofford deep, awaiting the kick from David Green. Wofford from 2 yards deep. Brings it back out to the 13 wrapped up. There is a flag all the way back at the 36-yard line of Virginia.
Probably offside.
Someone may have been offsides on the kick. Now, I mentioned Danny Ford a moment ago. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame here at Clemson at halftime. There's a look at Danny, the longtime head coach for the Tigers and then Arkansas, of course. Lives in the area now. And a lot of folks around here would love to bring back those times of Clemson success.
Well, it's looking good, at least for this Saturday.
At least this Saturday afternoon.
I feel very good, though, about this program. I feel a great energy. I think the addition of Coach Scott from South Carolina takes a little pressure off Tommy Bowden. He has some perspective. He said to us on Thursday, you know, I'm hoping that I can help Tommy not make some of the mistakes I did. It's going to help with recruiting. You know, with Tommy here in that Bowden name, they're going to recruit in South Carolina. They're going to get better people here, but they're going to get North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. They're going to get more talent in 2 years. This will be like Tennessee 5 years ago.
That's right. Tennessee 5 years ago certainly wasn't at the level that they are now, but they won a national championship now. And everything changes when you do that. Well, Wofford back deep again because of the offsides penalty. They'll back it up and kick it over again. Green kicks this one 8 yards deep now, and Wofford's going to have to take a knee and bring it out to the 20. Well, we talked about the national championship. Take you back for a moment, 1982 to the Orange Bowl. The Tigers led by Homer Jordan. The touchdown pass to Perry Tuttle. Those are two names that Clemson Tiger fans will always remember. And Danny Ford being carried off the field as the national champion.
I remember the cover of Sports Illustrated that year.
Yeah, remember that, Perry Tuttle? Things have not been the same lately around here, though.
I think they were the only undefeated untimed team in the country that year, too. It was a very clear. They had 3 wins against top 10 teams. So there was no question they didn't need the Bowl Championship Series for 1 year.
There's that 4 wide receiver set you talked about, too, offset, but it's Zachary up the middle, a tough 2 yards. For the sophomore from Marietta, Georgia. A reminder, at the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund, and beginning this year, and this is great, Chevrolet will also make a donation to each player's high school. Gotta like that.
I like that.
Yeah. 2nd and 8. Streeter to throw. Now Warrior out of bounds. Right in front of the Tiger coaches and Tommy Bowden.
Sometimes the smartest pass a quarterback can throw is out of bounds. Coach Rodriguez told us yesterday that they've only got about 70% of their offense actually in at this point. It's such a varied offense, but we've seen just about all of it today. There he is today.
Rich Rodriguez, the offensive coordinator. He was the coordinator at Tulane for Tommy Bowden when he didn't get the head job after Tommy left. Bowden brought him here to Clemson. Streeter going to run it now. He's got a first down across the 30. Jason Small, the cornerback, ran him down, but Streeter's been very effective today running the football, which is a surprise.
It looks like Fisher DeBerry and Air Force playing the option at this point.
Rick Stockstill on the sideline signals into plays, as does Brad Scott, the former South Carolina head coach, and one of the two, it's a dummy call.
Also, you notice they both have dark blue shirts. Everybody else has white.
Actually, Brad's got the white on there.
Brad forgot.
Yeah, wore the wrong color today. But only one of the two are the actual call.
You know,
Austin ahead for 2. Byron Thweet with a hard tackle.
In addition to Coach Scott coming here from South Carolina, which helps Clemson, in addition to that, Rich Rodriguez, the rumor was that he was all but told he had the job at Tulane. Tremendous opportunity there, but great for Clemson because this guy is young. This whole staff feels on the same page, and I've got great confidence in this program. Easy to say that now, but I really do. They really seem to have installed a confidence and a hard work ethic, and it's going to, I think, do well, bode well for them in the future.
Wofford 117 yards of the 296 from Streeter. They'll blow this one dead. There are flags everywhere. Jim Knight talks it over with Kyle Young.
Dead ball, illegal procedure on the offense, 5 yards.
Well, the mistake for the offense, but not like last week at all. And you and I watched some of the game tape together, and it was an offense last week that was still searching for an identity. And a lot of delay in the backfield getting the plays in and signaling from the quarterback to the line and the calls being made there. None of those problems today at all. Zachary over the middle, can't hang on.
With all that, they still got some yardage on offense. They'd made at least one of those field goals that may have won the game.
And they're going to call this a catch at midfield. Zachary one-on-one with Chris Williams, the dive, and he hung on, they're going to say, and was down before the ball came loose. And it's a gain of 21.
And just to finish the thought about last week, and they held Chad Pennington, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, without a touchdown pass for the first time in 27 games. So they were doing some things right last week, but the offense definitely needed a game under their belt.
So 1st and 10 at midfield. 1:48 and counting. Cavs show blitz, back off. Zachary falls ahead for 1. Shannon Taylor, number 9, along with Samanich, in on the tackle. You know, on the flip side for Virginia, we mentioned it at the top of the telecast. The first team in 30 years to start on the road with 2 ACC games. North Carolina did it back in 1969. Something that George Welsh, I'm sure, is not very happy about having to do. And the injuries really caught up with him. And that's, you know, normally you're used to starting, if not with an easy game, at least one to get one under your belt.
Well, and you had Travis Griffith, who is a very good defensive lineman, filling in for Kearney, who's had a bulging disc the whole offseason, and certainly he has not been any factor today.
Yeah, the Streeter family, his mother, his grandmother, and his sister in attendance today, down from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Very relaxed at this point.
I guess
33-7.
I guess his father does make it for the last game, the South Carolina game. I think their season is over,
Offside,
and they can come and see his son play for that last game
5
of
yards
the season.
for the down.
So the offsides penalty against Virginia. They'll move it 5.
That brings up 2nd and 4 for the Tigers at the 44-yard line.
So 2nd and 4 with under a minute left here in the 3rd. Signal coming in, and then the audible actually coming in from the sideline, as we talked about. Zachary over the left side, hit hard at the 41-yard line. Isabel on the tackle, along with Jerton Evans.
Well, for what it's worth, I think Coach Scott is the one who's doing the signals in, because it looked like the receivers were looking right at him.
One of the few times today when Tommy Bowden has been upset with his offense and Travis Zachary right now, but got a lot to cheer about so far. End of the 3rd quarter, it is all Clemson, 33-7. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Been a gorgeous afternoon here in Clemson, South Carolina, but not for the Cavaliers. Look at the score by quarters. Virginia shut out in the first half. Had the touchdown pass to Kevin Coffey in the 3rd, but Clemson scoring in every quarter, and it is 33-7. Terry Gann and Nick Lowry with you as we begin the 4th quarter of play. And George Welsh, a long afternoon for him and his ball club. Ball is loose, and Virginia may have it. They do. The fumble by the Tigers, and Ubreno Isabel comes up with a recovery.
Well, they gave it to the spoon, Terry Witherspoon, straight up the middle. One of the only times all day that you've seen that, straight up, right up the rear end of the center. Just did not hold on to the ball.
Isabel on the recovery, one of the few breaks today for the Cavs. So 14:56 left in this one, and Virginia down 33-7. Trying to mount a comeback, or at least do some things that are positive. Thomas Jones out of the backfield, across the middle. He's got a first down for the Cavs. Across midfield, DeMarco Fox on the tackle. While we have a moment, let's check in with John Saunders in New York.
Terry, it's the Win Your Way Burger King update. A great game between Notre Dame and Purdue. Jarius Jackson, 4-5, 57 yards in this drive, 7 yards to Bobby Brown. To get the extra point, lead at 23-22. Terry.
Wow, John, the Irish coming off that tough loss last week at the Big House. Trying to pull this one out. Catch made by Tavon Mason. A gain of about 8, right in front of Alex Ardley. Well, here's the story of our game. Streeter, just great numbers, near record numbers right now for Clemson, and personal records, obviously. The turnover's key for Virginia. It was won very early, and they account for 16 points for the Tigers. 2nd and 3. Ellis under pressure, gets away, and has a first down. Dan Ellis, some of his scrambling ability straight up the middle as Keith Adams eventually grabbed him by the foot.
Nobody doubts Dan Ellis' courage. If I'm the coach for Tommy Bowden, if I'm the coach for Clemson, I'm saying the one thing we've got to do, I can hear Marty Schottenheimer saying this, is we've got to hold on to the ball. Don't give the other team a chance to even think they're in the game.
First down from the 37. Ellis going up top. One-on-one. Nice play again by Ardley. Billy McMullen, the intended receiver. Well, tomorrow right here on ABC Sports, live at 3 Eastern, the Comfort Classic. Tom Watson making his senior tour debut. He's played well, too, but he's at 9 under the last we hear. Mike McCullough atop the leaderboard at 13 under, so Watson still in the hunt. That's tomorrow live right here at 3 o'clock Eastern time on ABC.
Tommy grew up playing at Kansas City Country Club right across from where I live in Kansas City.
Did you ever catch him in action?
Oh, yeah.
Complete. Fighting for the first down. Tavon Mason. They're going to call him actually out at the 30, about 2 yards shy, but great effort from Mason, the redshirt freshman out of Baltimore.
Well, Clemson had an All-America cornerback last year in Edwards. This guy Ardley looks like he's got real ability. Every single place. He's very consistent, tackles very firmly.
Played great today. 408 yards for the Tigers. Wow. And Virginia, 258. Trying to put more up there right now. 3rd and 2. Ellis to run. He's got a first down. Wrapped up by Terry Jolly, but he should have the first down. They'll move the chains.
Terry Jolly, number 92, from Fort Valley, Georgia, is from the same high school as All-Pro linebacker Greg Lloyd. Remember old Greg?
Yeah.
Before he hurt that knee, he was about as good as there was. He was truly a feared player, and I think that's the kind of fear that they're hoping to reinstill here at Death Valley.
It once was an intimidating place to play. And they measure, but should have listened to us. He had the first down. So Tommy Bowden, as you say, trying to reinstate some of that fear here that used to come with Death Valley.
We give you a warm southern welcome to Death Valley.
Well,
we'll either serve your food or kill you.
Is that a southern accent? First down for Ellis. Slips out of his hand, should have been intercepted. That's a ball that Jason Holloman will see in his sleep tonight. It never gets easier than that for a defensive lineman. Right in front of him.
Or Terry Jolly. Like I said, when you see Dan Ellis running to his right or to his left, especially to his left, he threw an interception last week that was intercepted for 89 yards and a touchdown. He's just not comfortable doing that.
Through the interception that was run back for a touchdown last week that way against Carolina. Here he scrambles out of the pocket ahead to the 23. Sandwiched by DeMont McKenzie and Braxton Williams. Well, the Dell Game Solutions, let's revisit those.
Well, you know, run. They've been able to run the ball reasonably well, but they got out of the game because they lost their defensive endurance. Their safeties were hesitant at the beginning, and Clemson started to complete passes, and finally Ellis' decision-making, he's just not made the big play.
Just haven't figured out the Clemson offense either. How to defend it. 3rd and 5 for the Virginia offense. Incomplete. Knocked out of his hands by Ardley again. It was McMullen, the intended receiver, but Alex Ardley has had a career day.
Alex Ardley had 10 passes broken up last year, and this is absolutely the best you could possibly see it done. You know, usually you see that little hand on the guy's back that they decide not to call, but that was absolutely perfect.
Sophomore out of Tallahassee. Got away from Bobby Bowden. Coming to play for Tommy Bowden.
He's a sophomore from Lincoln High.
So it's 4th and 5, and George Welsh with no choice but to go for it. They spread the field. Ellis on the run to his right, got his tight end Luzar, and a first down before he's knocked out of bounds. Chris Luzar, the sophomore out of Williamsburg, Virginia.
6'7". Actually, he was a wide receiver. He gained 20 pounds. It's nice to have somebody that big a target runs all the way across the field.
Right in your kitchen. Gain of 15. And it's 1st and goal for the Cavs.
You don't need your blocking tight ends right now.
And the Cavs doing exactly what you would expect the George Welsh team to do, and that's not give up. Keep playing this to the end. 10-play drive. They split the back, Southern and Jones. Ellis to throw. Great play again, but this time it's Polite, and they throw the flag. Dextra Polite with a hand in to knock that ball down, but the flag came in late behind him.
You know, that's a judgment call. I think he may have, like I said earlier, may have had his hand this time on him, but it was barely a touch. Well, you can't really see it there, but I think he had his left hand on his hip, but it was so light.
Holding on the defense. The pass crossed the line. The foul was against an eligible receiver. First down.
So they got the holding, not the interference, and it may have been just before we were able to see that. The intended receiver was Tavon Mason.
I still am not sure I agree with that call. I think it was happened in a split second. It really did not impede the receiver.
Well, it's 1st and goal from the 3. Coffee in motion. Thomas Jones cuts back. He's got the end zone. Touchdown, Virginia. The long drive by the Cavaliers. Really the first long drive of the day. So a positive aspect to this football game for George Welsh.
Well, Thomas Jones has had more success getting outside today than running straight up the gut. He can usually do both. And any score at this point is something that they need and can benefit from.
Braverman on for the extra point. Hooked it, but just inside the right upright.
Almost missed it.
So the touchdown run from Thomas Jones. It is 33-14 with 11:54 left. Second touchdown on the board for Virginia. Thomas Jones, who rushed the ball 35 times last week against North Carolina. 23 rushes for 97 yards on the day so far here. And that last touchdown. Had 149 yards last week. Of course, had over 1,300 yards last year to lead the ACC. Brian Wofford from his own 11. Fights his way across the 25 to the 27. Next Saturday, full lineup of college football for you right here on ABC. 3:30 Eastern time, the Noles once again. They host the NC State Wolfpack. 2-0, a win over Texas and Mac Brown in their first game. There's your regional lineup, too, if you want those games on pay-per-view. So call your cable operator, DirecTV, or Dish Network for all of those games. Next Saturday, right here.
Well, we talked about points off Virginia turnovers. Those are points off a Clemson turnover, and that's the bottom line right here. They've got to move the ball, but they've got to hold on to it.
4 receivers now on 1st and 10. Inside give, Zachary up to the 30-yard line. Remember what we said at the beginning of the game. The Dell Game Solutions will revisit those now, and certainly Clemson has done what they've needed to do.
Clemson's done everything they want to do. They made both field goals. They did miss an extra point. Hopefully that won't be a factor later. They've been incredibly efficient for the most part in this no-huddle offense, and they forced Dan Ellis to have to do the things that really he's not quite ready to do yet.
Yeah, you knew they wouldn't stop Thomas Jones. He's got 97 yards on the day, but they've had 8-9 men up in the box, and they've made Ellis make the big plays. Streeter on the run. Down he goes at the 25. Shannon Taylor just pounded him into the turf.
You know, Shannon Taylor has made 2 huge plays when they've tried to fool the other team going wide, and he's never been misled, and he's made 2 big tackles for losses.
Loss of 5 on the play.
Quarterback, former quarterback on a quarterback.
Yep. Symmetry. It works. Streeter hasn't taken much of a pounding today, though. He's been virtually untouched for most of the game. 3rd and 12 on the run. Got Wofford looking into the sun. What a catch. Across midfield and knocked out of bounds. Wow. The throw on the run from Streeter, and then Wofford going high looking into the sun.
Well, running to his right, Streeter's a different kind of athlete. He can throw accurately on the run, and he lofts that perfectly, but also absolutely a great catch by Brian Wofford.
Chernard Newby, the redshirt freshman, on the coverage, but he came in late. 8 catches for 143 yards on the day for Brian Wofford. Remember last week, Rod Gardner, and Wofford is shaken up right here. You see the numbers. Last week, Gardner had 11 catches for 111 yards and tied the Clemson record with those 11 catches.
You know, part of the problem for Virginia is simply their safeties are too inexperienced to make that quick decision and be decisive to get to the sideline. They're about 1 step too late, and that's resulted in probably 5 or 6 catches that I bet you a year from now they won't be able to complete on them.
Well, as you look at the Clemson crowd, while we have a moment, I just want to thank those in the sports information departments at both Virginia and Clemson. Mike Cooley from Virginia, Tim Beret from Clemson, who have helped us tremendously all week long, getting ready for this game. Some good people.
Tim Beret's been here for 22 years, and we thank him for all his help, and people from UVA as well.
As Wofford comes over to the sideline. So it's 1st and 10. 17 first downs through the air. The handoff to Zachary, bouncing one way then the other to the 47. So the running has been working, the passing has been working, and Brandon Streeter on the day has been terrific. A career day. 342 yards, that's his career high, but also the highest than any Clemson quarterback.
He's had 2 300-yard gains passing, which is more than any Clemson quarterback in history going into today. But this offense gives him all sorts of opportunities, which I think he's ready to take advantage of.
And remember, there was a bit of a quarterback controversy to start the year. Woody Dantzler, the other quarterback who was supposed to share all the time with Streeter. I'm not sure that will be the same after today.
Yeah, Woody was the South Carolina Player of the Year, and he was 4 for 6 last week. Did very well. But Brandon Streeter is the man today.
Gain of 2 for Zachary. Speaking of sports information directors, as I did a moment ago, Bob Bradley, the longtime sports information director here, now emeritus, who is still at every game. Saw him before the game, looks great. Looks like he could go out there and play himself up and down this football field. But he said, you know, I thought it was supposed to be illegal to throw in this stadium. And that's the way it was for Clemson football for years and years and years. And that certainly has changed. Streeter going to run this time to the 40, maybe about a yard shy of a first down. Maurice Anderson on the stop. But this is certainly not the Clemson football that fans have watched throughout the year.
It's not. Sean King at Tulane last year had a more powerful arm than Brandon Streeter, but look at what Brandon's bringing to it. He has a toughness and ability to run when he has to, which the same kind of thing actually that Aaron Brooks gave for Virginia last year.
Now what do you do? The crowd wants on 4th and 1 Tommy Bowden to go for it. You're obviously not going to do that. Up 33-14. Ryan Romano on to punt.
Is this the first punt of the game?
This is the first punt of the game for Romano. First punt of the game with 8:05 left in the game for Clemson. Fourth and 1. They'll be punting when we return. 3:14. It's been all Clemson Tigers throughout the afternoon. Virginia with a win last week against North Carolina, trying to go 2-0 in the ACC, 2-0 overall, but those cheerleaders very active this afternoon.
And Ryan Romano not very active this afternoon.
No, the first punt perhaps coming up in just a moment. It'll be 4th and 1 when play resumes.
Ryan Romano waited patiently 3 years from West Palm Beach, Florida. I think he's a pretty good kicker too. If I remember correctly, he was 12 of 14 as a field goal kicker in high school.
Scholarship player too, which at times is a little bit unique. Away a scholarship for that. His father played college football. His brother played college football. And the band played on.
His mother played college football?
Well, no, I don't think she did. They have.
Hey, don't put limits on her. You just don't know.
Tiger paws everywhere. 65,000, the announced attendance here at Death Valley today. So Romano on for his first punt of the afternoon. Arlen Harris back deep. Fair catch at the 13-yard line. So a punt of 20 yards as Romano trying to get it within the 10-yard line, but Harris with the fair catch. Back to Death Valley in a moment. Powell Valley High School. A look at Tillman Hall, the oldest building on campus, and my car with a parking ticket on it right there. The blue one right there. Yeah. We'll be told by the end of the game. Well, ABC Sports presentation of college football brought to you by Chrysler, engineered to be great cars. Dell, innovative computer solutions from the company that pioneered direct around the world. Be direct. Dell. Valvoline, you can always tell the guys who use Valvoline. And Thrifty Car Rental. The car you want, the service you expect, all at a low rate. Just what you want. Just Thrifty. 7:58 left here at Memorial Stadium. The Cavaliers taking over at their own 13-yard line.
If I'm Virginia, I'm going to go for broke. If I can score a big play right here, you never know, you might be able to upset that.
Wow.
Still young confidence.
Purdue up by 2 over Notre Dame. They've come back. Ellis on the run may have a first down across the 20 to about the 23. Keith Adams tripped him up. The numbers on Ellis, 14 of 25, the 1 touchdown. They just have not been able to get anything significant going throughout the game. But the 2 drives in the second half, and all 14 points coming in this half. Over the middle to the tight end, Chris Luzar.
Let's get some credit, Terry, to the cornerbacks, too, for Clemson. I think Ardley and Polite. Polite last year was inconsistent at times, and they say he's made tremendous improvement. Ardley has played an awesome game today. You know, they're the guys that made this defense be able to put their ears back and go after the quarterback.
Ellis on 2nd and 4. Going to run again, has room again, has a first down again. Brought down at the 37. So Dan Ellis taking what the defense gives him right now. They'll move the chains again. Well, you mentioned Pennington last week. Quarterback for Marshall did not throw a touchdown pass, first time in 27 games. This is the defense that stopped it. And it was a defensive battle. So the defense has played great 2 games in a row. This one should have been caught.
Well, let's go over the youth of this defense. I mean, you've got Ardley, who's a sophomore. You've got Dexter Polite, who happens to be a senior, a rare breed. DeMarco Fox, a sophomore. Robert Carswell, a junior, tremendous player. Keith Evans, a sophomore. DeMont McKenzie is a senior on the defensive line. Terry Bryant, junior. Chad Carson was a sophomore. I mean, there are hardly any seniors on this team.
Yep. Ellis under pressure. Picked it up nicely. There's the tight end, Luzar. Stays on his feet, knocked out of bounds at the 47. About 2 yards short of a first down. Well, if time permits, remember, stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report. Scores and highlights from across the country. John Saunders, Terry Bowden, back with you in New York. It's following our game if time permits.
Another thing that we've talked about only slightly is just the conditioning. When your defense is going in practice against that no-huddle offense, it gets a lot of conditioning. Same thing with the offense itself. And this team seems in tremendous shape.
3rd and 1. The crowd's still into it. They want to stop here. Down to 4 on the play clock. They get it off. Ellis with time initially, but he's going to go down. Dan Ellis sacked back at the 40-yard line, and Keith Adams again in the backfield to cause trouble.
And Braxton Williams right behind him. Well, Ellis is looking at a lot of bodies in front of him, and he's got that number 40 playing safety way in the back. So he's not really going to have a chance to go deep too easily.
Donnie Scott on the punt. Jodan Reams back deep. Brian Wofford was shaken up earlier in the game. See if we can get a report at some point on him. Reams going to call for the fair catch, let it drop. Just about the 11-yard line. 46-yard punt from Donnie Scott, and the Tigers take over. 5:41 left. .541 left. Clemson up 33-14 as they take over offensively back at their own 12-yard line. Terry Gannon, Nick Lowry here have a great time this week here in Clemson, but that man is not. George Welsh won the last few times down here, but today has been nothing but negative for the Cavs. Travis Zachary tries the right side out to the 15, but this is a place that most of us really like, especially my partner. Back in '95, the Jets against the Panthers from 50 yards out. Watch this ball. Nick Lowry. Oh,
could have gone 60.
Would have gone 65 at least, but we must tell you that was not the game winner.
No, in fact, that was the first game ever that the Panthers won.
Panthers
in
got
their history.
First win.
Yep. But at the glory days, me and Bubby Brister, we survived that season. Life goes on. But I enjoyed playing in this stadium. It was fun. Steve Fuller is on the wall up here. He's my holder, the greatest holder I ever had. He was a great All-America quarterback for Clemson and then with the Chiefs.
In the Hall of Fame here at Clemson. There you have a look. 75-78, Steve Fuller. Ever mishandle a snap in a hold?
One time we're playing the Dolphins, and the snap went through Steve's hand. It was slippery and skidded off the artificial turf in an icy game. And I'm running back next to Steve. He's looking for me to recover it. I'm looking for him to recover it. And I dove on the ball, and the guy missed hitting me in the head.
Well, your hair got in the way.
And speaking of heads,
this was the beginning of the disco era, folks. So that explains.
Look at that haircut. Hey, I was on financial aid, man. I could not worry about Vidal Sassoon at that point.
Pride and joy of Dartmouth.
Dartmouth College, the cradle of football.
Yes, sir.
We actually we had a great tradition of football, won a lot of Ivy League titles. Not while I was there.
301, 83 career field goals in the NFL. Movement on the right side, by the way, the Clemson line. May have been Jason LeMay, the tight end.
Dead ball. False start. Offense.
Well, not over yet, but it's been a pleasure today. Enjoyed it very much.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Lowry.
Me too.
Look at what Clemson has done in the air. 20 to their wideouts, 3 to the running backs, 1 to the tight end.
I'm a little surprised at the tight end thing. I thought that they'd go to their tight ends a little bit more just to mix it up. But, I mean, they mix it all over the field. And because Gardner did so well last week, that opened it up for Wofford.
So the penalty moves them back 5 yards, and it's 3rd and 8. Great time. Still coaching 33-14, but still upset over the mistake. Long count for Streeter. Zachary straight ahead right into Breno Isabel. Nowhere to go.
First thing that Carl Peterson, general manager for the Chiefs, first year in 1989 with Marty Schottenheimer, said to the team was the old Vince Lombardi thing. Winning is a habit, unfortunately, so also is losing. And I know Tommy Bowden wants his team to concentrate and play first class all 4 quarters, all 60 minutes, because it's just never over till it's over, as they say. And you want your team to learn this discipline now.
Well, even if it is over before it's over, you learn bad habits. And it's when you get injured as well. So unless you play like you play the entire game, that's what happens. Here's Romano on for only a second punt of the afternoon. Arlen Harris back deep in his own 40. Taylor almost got there. Harris up to the 48 of Clemson to field that punt. Only a 32-yard punt from Romano after he tried to do the coffin corner the last time and only punted it 20 yards.
You know, we've seen a lot of punt returners let the punt hit the ground. And the statistic that Frank Gans, former special teams coach and head coach for the Chiefs and one of the best special teams coaches in the NFL, was that the ball will roll 17 more yards on average. I'm not sure if it's the same on grass as artificial turf, but if your punt returner can, he needs to catch that ball.
So it's 1st and 10 for Virginia. Arlen Harris now the setback in for Thomas Jones. Ellis throws. Complete to Coffey over the middle. Inside the 30 to the 29. Carswell there to wrap him up. So the clock continues to tick, but Virginia trying to get at least one more on the board here. Gain of 19.
Well, for the most part, they've sent Coffey up the sidelines. That was one of the few where he did kind of a just post pattern up into the middle.
4 receivers. Trips to the far side. Flag on the play. Got to be a hold. Overthrown. So they'll bring this back anyway.
If I'm Clemson, I'm going to want to make Dan Ellis move. Run to his right, run to his left.
Well, they have done that. What if you're George Welsh, though? I mean, right now, 33-14. You got 2:44 left. Maybe not right now. What are you thinking? But what do you take from this game and try to improve on?
Holding
Jim Knight's word
offense
here.
During a forward pass play, 10 yards from the previous spot.
Well, I think they need to learn the lesson to, at least from this game, that being innovative in the 3rd and 4th quarter when you have to and you're down by 3 touchdowns isn't going to help you. You got to be innovative at the beginning and keep them off balance. I didn't see a whole lot of that in the first half.
Going behind that big offensive line with Thomas Jones early on, and you can't blame him for that. I mean, he is their key. Nice catch over the middle. Billy McMullen held on. He was hit hard by Charles Hayflett.
Well, that's the defense. They're in the defense now. Clemson is, where they're letting them take the pass over the middle so the clock keeps going.
Gain of 15 on the play. So it's 2nd and 4. Complete at the 14. And driven back by Ardley is Billy McMullen. 2 straight catches for the true freshman out of Richmond, Virginia, who they think is going to be very, very good for George Welsh.
I'd take Ardley at a rodeo.
Been active. Pick up the blitz initially. Ellis on the run, throws to the end zone. Incomplete and almost intercepted. The ball was caught by Chad Spack, but they ruled him out of bounds.
Let's see the replay on that. That was close. We've had several close ones today going out of bounds.
What do you say? Oh,
I don't know. That looked good to me.
Well, you can tell the reaction of the crowd here. Well, normally they don't replay controversial calls on the big screen in stadiums,
to get
but
the
they do
home
here.
team a little excited.
So it's 2nd and 10. Ellis going to go down. Sacked at the 22. Javon Bush, the sophomore out of Hardyville, South Carolina. And Virginia will take a timeout. So 1:42 left. Virginia trying to get to the end zone. We'll break for a moment. Take a look at this play now. Chad Speck in real time. That's what the official was looking at in real time. That's an awfully close call. Broke it up. Dotson, the intended receiver. Crutchfield over his back, and Dotson wanted a flag. He didn't get one.
That was another close call. I'll tell you what, I would never want that job, Terry.
So it brings up 4th down. But just going back to that for a moment, that play that was in the end zone, Speck, and it looked in slow motion like he had the foot in. But if you're looking at it in real time and you're an official, even if you're right on top of it, tough call.
Did he have time to establish himself?
So 4th and 16. The Cavs going to go for it. Down goes Ellis. McKenzie was in there along with Keith Adams.
Our man Keith Adams and DeMont McKenzie, who's been, we haven't talked about him a lot today, but really the leader of the defensive line. We got to talk to him yesterday, and really happy to see him have a big play here at the end.
Adams, number 43, the sophomore outside linebacker with 13 tackles on the day. And there you look at DeMont McKenzie, who was in on that sack as well. George Welsh looking across the way at a jubilant Clemson sideline. This was not what he expected, nor what the Virginia fans expected.
This is what's called going to a knee. Something that Clemson has wanted to do a lot more the last 15 games.
Haven't had the chance. 1 timeout left up on the scoreboard for Virginia. And George Welch not going to use it.
Well, if there was a touchdown Jesus in Death Valley, he'd be signaling it's good.
Second down for the Tigers.
So 2nd down, and Streeter will do the same once again. Run that play clock all the way down. George Welsh, 12 straight years with 7 wins or more. Michigan, Florida State, and Nebraska, the only other schools to do that. Traditionally, Welsh's clubs have gotten off to fast starts. Sometimes they've faltered later in the year, sometimes not. But this is a loss against a team today that played as well as they could possibly play. I mean, the Clemson Tigers, I can't believe, could expect to play any better than this.
No, I think Coach Welch is hoping he can get Antoine Harris back at safety.
Yep.
And just hope that they can learn a little bit from this and work hard like they always do. They'll be back.
So down to a knee one final time. Brandon Streeter, who led the way today. A career day for Streeter. Tommy Bowden with his first win at Clemson. First win in the ACC, and it comes over George Welsh and the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia falls to 1-1. Tommy Bowden being led off the field. He gets the Tigers to 1-1, and he is on that field with much of the student body right now from Clemson. They have poured onto this playing field. Well, there you have a look. Today's Chevrolet players of the game: Thomas Jones of Virginia and Brandon Streeter of Clemson. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will donate $1,000 contributing to each school's general scholarship fund. And beginning this year, Chevrolet will also donate $1,000 to the high schools. Thomas Jones from Paul Valley High School, Brandon Streeter from Gettysburg High School. And that is the story of this game. Jones did a lot on the ground, but Streeter through the air, leading Clemson to the victory. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.